Arroyo was able to get up. Mick Rogers out of the tour because of the injury sustained in that crash, and that is a terrible day for the Australian and T-Mobile squad.
It was a bad day overall for Australian cycling fans because Stuart O'Grady also went down in a crash and had to be airlifted to a hospital. He's out.
Stuart O'Grady, broken ribs in this crash, really hard, tough tumble, and he goes down. Levi Leipheimer had a little bit of a dramatic moment as well. His chain got wrapped up in his derailleur, and he couldn't get it back on, and so he had to get his bike changed, and that is terrible for your rhythm at the bottom of two big mountain passes. So Levi had a quick change, changed his water bottles, and was back on the climb again.
In the final climb, Iban Mayo, wearing the Sonia Deval yellow, not the overall race leading yellow, tried to pull away from the break, and he was successful to get himself involved in the final standings.
It's been a while since we saw Mayo racing good in the mountains, but he's back, and here's Vinokurov doing a solid job, following his teammates. Nothing spectacular, but at least steady. Alberto Contador, maybe the fastest man on the last climb in the whole peloton.
As the stage came to the close, Michael Rasmussen was better than anybody.
Michael Rasmussen decimated the field. He telegraphed it like Babe Ruth, pointing to the stands after a home run, and Rasmussen knocks this one out of the park. Either didn't want to or was unable to raise his hands for the finish victory, but I think he wanted every single second he could get, and there he is, splendid in the yellow jersey. The Dane is truly great.
He beat the yellow jersey Linus Gerdman of the day before by better than 4 minutes and 20 seconds to claim the honor. So Gerdman is still part of the picture, brought to you by Michelob Ultra, 43 seconds back. Mayo's in there as well. Alejandro Valverde looking at a 2:51 deficit, and Astana's Andrei Kasheshkin is also looking at that. 2:53 for Evans.
Cadel Evans, a good ride. He's still up there. Menchov, Sastre, Kloden, and Vino still within striking distance. Vinokurov suffering the most out of all of our contenders.
The American story, Levi Leipheimer, 3 minutes and 53 seconds. He says he'll be stronger in the Pyrenees. Who knows? Maybe he's got to play today. Horner, Hincapie, Van de Velde, and David Zabriskie, 1 hour and 14 minutes behind the pace. Now, the story of Alexander Vinokurov is an interesting one because I know you've said it, that the longer he stays in the race, the stronger he appears to look. But he didn't look very strong as he tried to keep up with Andreas Kloden and the rest of the field the other day.
I think he really struggled tremendously on the stage to Tignes. He was dropped a number of times, fought his way back. The peloton just tailed him off towards the end. They let him come back a few times. That might prove to be costly, especially if he can go out on attack and get some of those seconds back that he's trailing now. Most of that deficit is because of his crash a number of days ago when he was unable to rejoin the peloton. So Vinokurov probably feeling better and better throughout the tour.
Good memories of what he saw from himself on this mountain a couple of years ago. Does it translate into success 2 years later?
Every time you've had good success at a stage, you want to replicate that whenever you get to go back there over the top of the Galibier down into Briançon, sprinting there with Santiago Botero and Vinokurov supreme on that day's race. He had lost a lot of time to the stage before to Lance Armstrong in Courchevel, and we see what happened when he came back the next day. He did a great job and pulled himself back into contention for that tour.
We'll take a break on the Saab Tour pre-race show. When we come back, Phil and Paul join us. We'll talk a little bit more about these climbs, the Col de Liseron and the Col de Galibier, plus we'll make our picks here on Versus.
The 2007 Tour de France pre-race on Versus is presented by Saab. Once you've built jets, you don't build just another car. Saab, born from jets.
Saab was founded by 16 aircraft engineers. Their spirit lives on in the turbocharged 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi. With all the storage space you need, an estimated 30 miles per gallon, and a starting price under $29,000, you're closer to owning a jet than you think. Saab, born from jets. Log on to Versus.com/fly to the finish for your chance to win a 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi and a new Cervelo bike.
This summer, Versus is bringing the stars, the stripes, the painkillers. It's gonna be a red, white, black, and blue summer.
It's just something that you're either willing to accept or you're not.
The toughest athletes are gonna dish it out and take it on the chin. The competition is on, and the cost of victory is paid. The Versus, red, white, black, and blue summer. The suffering continues.
Pain's a good thing sometimes.
All summer long.
For the first time in this year's tour, 2 climbs beyond category, which essentially means there are no words to describe. It'll happen right after the start in Val-d'Isère and right before the finish in Briançon. Paul, Sherwen, and Phil Liggett are here. If I use the word diabolical, Phil, is that fair?
It's absolutely fair, Al. It's a long way since we started this Tour de France in London, where 3 million people sent us over to France, and we've had a great race since. This is the last day in the Alps now for the riders. It's a very difficult day. Cadel Evans, in training, by the way, reckoned he averaged 80 kilometres an hour between the top of the Col de Liggett and the start of the Cauldron Telegraph, because there's an awful lot of descending on the way to the final climbs of the day. This could be a decisive day, because the riders are showing us now that they're very suspect when they go out climbing, and an opportunist today might do pretty well.
Could do very well, but the big thing is when we get down to the end after that 80 kilometre an hour average speed, the riders then line up towards the Col de Telegraph and what Lance Armstrong would describe as the nasty climb of the Galibier, 2,645 metres by the time they get to the top. And again, it's a long, fast downhill running into the outskirts of Briançon. It's going to be a beast of a day once again, I have to say, in the Alps.
By distance, you could say it is Chicago to Milwaukee, but for that to be accurate, you'd have to have a major volcanic fault eruption. The last finish in Briançon was 2005, and maybe that brings back some good memories from Alexander Vinokourov. We'll see what happens today. As I mentioned, Phil and Paul joining us here in our mobile Versus studio, and virtually every member of our crew had to go over the de Liggett in that first climb to get here to Briançon, and right now they're going to reenact their reaction to it. Gentlemen? It was very scary. I mean, you'd have to think that the descent today is going to be absolutely frightening.
The descent off of the Iseron is absolutely diabolical, like you said. You get one thing wrong, you miss brake, you get a flat tire, into oblivion. So you got to be really careful, climbing good and descending well as all.
Can Mr. Chicken Legs, Michael Rasmussen, defend the yellow jersey?
He'll be under pressure, you know. He's very famous for his one big day escapades in the Tour de France, which he's done the last couple of years. But this time, slightly different. He said he wants to win the Tour de France. Well, I think he'll have to show us again today. He needs to gain time, because he'll lose an awful lot in the time trials.
Alberto Contador had a flat tire, and had he not had that flat tire, as you picked up, it might have been very different.
Alberto Contador is starting to look like a very serious contender here. I think his time trialing ability is good, and we've seen how well he accelerates on the slopes of the climbs. Talking to the Spanish press, they're not talking about Alejandro Valverde anymore, they're talking about Alberto Contador. If he hadn't had that badly timed flat tire yesterday, he'd have been a lot closer to the top end of the overall standings.
For virtually every minute of the off day, Bob, Phil, and Paul have analyzed every aspect of the race, and they've come up with their Saab performance predictions. So I've thrown a dart at the wall, and I've come up with something. We'll see. But Phil gained a couple of points, and no doubt Paul has been the most consistent. Phil's got 7, Bob Roll has 4. He's waiting to get hot. He's saving himself like Levi Leipheimer for the Pyrenees. And now the only cyclist representing the nation of Uganda gets the Maillot Jaune for the Saab performance prediction.
Oh, go Uganda! Go Uganda! And it's the same color as gold.
Yes, price up again. Now we come to our picks for today. As I mentioned, I'm going to go with something that we saw, a little flash of greatness from Alberto Contador of Discovery, as maybe the leadership and the strategy of this team changes. Without that flat tire, who knows? Bob, help me out here. Did I steal your pick?
Yes, you did steal
All
my
right,
pick.
I like
You
it.
did a good job.
That's what I think he's going to look like at the end of the stage. Certainly hoping for top 4. Next up, we have Paul. This doesn't seem fair. He's got the yellow jersey and the second pick.
Well, you know, I picked Rasmussen when I was in 3rd pick last time, and this time I'm going to pick Alejandro Valverde, because he is consistent. He might not win the stage, but he won't be far away from the win. And he's a man who can climb, as we've seen in the past, but when he does climb with everybody else, he ends up being the fastest sprinter. So he's going to give me 3 or 4 points today.
Which brings us to the pride of Durango, Bob.
The pride of Durango. The pride of Durango picks for this year's Tour de France. Up in the mountains, Carlos Sastre from Durango, Spain, the original Durango, or at least nearby. Sastre is a great climber. He's starting to come into his own. He always struggles the first day in the mountains, and then he starts to feel a lot better. And we saw him light up the roads as they got more and more climbing miles in their legs in last year's Tour. I hope he gets me some points today.
Phil's picked a man who looks like he may not just be done just yet.
No, I don't think it is. I admit, if we had any rules for this competition, I've cheated. I've actually spoken to a rider on the rest day, and the rider told me that Iban Mayo would win the stage today. He's full of confidence. He had a little go the day before the rest day. He rode with intelligence. When it didn't work, he went back into the group. The big thing is, Al, this guy suffers mentally. If he goes wrong for him, he cracks. And I think he's got his brain into gear now, so May as well give me the points right now.
But I don't think we will. This is one of those stages where you have to watch from the very beginning because the climbing begins in earnest right after the start in Val-d'Isère. When we come back with the tour, we'll have Phil and Paul with the call. This is what could be a decisive Stage 9 of the 2007 Tour de France.
The 2007 Tour de France pre-race on Versus is presented by Saab. Once you've built jets, you don't build just another car. Saab, born from jets.
Want to see something cool? Motel6.com is the easiest place to book a great room online. See, when you start in the right spot, everything else just kind of falls into place. We'll leave the light on for you.
Introducing Accelerate with protein. Proven to increase endurance up to 29% over your old sports drink. So while others fade, you can stay strong. Don't fade. Accelerate.
Scotch Blue Painter's tapes.
Yeah, when you take it off, you're gonna like what you see.
Goes on easy, comes off clean, leaving professional paint lines.
Looking good, you got to agree.
Scotch Blue Painter's tapes for delicate or multi-surfaces.
Go on, take it off.
At Ruby Tuesday, great meals are a matter of course. First course, picked fresh. Second course, grilled to perfection. Third course, sweet moments with friends. Starting at $9.99. Petite sirloin, chicken fresco, Ruby Tuesday.
People are smart. And when it comes to home loans, they don't want smoke and mirrors. They want a smart rate. Like our 30-year fixed mortgage around 6 1/8%. Call 1-800-DITEC-1 now to get a loan without being sawed in half. DITEC. People are smart.
Bicycle Village, the ultimate bike shop. Bicycle Village has Colorado's largest selection of bikes, from tandems to trikes to top-end bikes. All the best brands and the largest selection. Over 1,000 bikes set up and ready to ride from the brands you want, like Trek, Specialized, Raleigh, Lightspeed, and more. Only Bicycle Village offers same-day bike service to get you back on your bike quicker. Plus lifetime tunes and an unbeatable performance guarantee on every bike we sell. And we always guarantee the lowest prices. Bicycle Village, the ultimate bike shop.
Fresh, wholesome juice. There's nothing like it. But until now, you had to stress and strain to get just a little bit of juice. But not anymore, thanks to the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer. You can drop in whole vegetables, whole fruits. With the Power Juicer, you'll be drinking your recommended daily allowance in just seconds. Order the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer now for just 2 payments of $49.90. We'll also send you this amazing recipe guide. Try the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer in your home risk-free for 30 days. If you're not completely satisfied, send it back for a full refund of the purchase price. Call now.
That is the mountains of the Tour de France.
Somebody's got off there. Michael Rogers has gone down. Rogers has gone down. Straight over the top is David Arroyo as well. Arroyo's climbing back up there.
This is Stuart O'Grady, who has crashed out on the descent of the Col de Rosemont. We witness here the end of the Tour by a man in tears. It was all or nothing for the riders as the roads headed to high altitude on stage 8. But that was just part 2 of our Alpine trilogy, because today France hosts an array of pulverizing peaks, with not one but 2 climbs, so high they are beyond measure. Feared because of its length, the lack of oxygen near the summit, the Col de Galibier is ready and waiting to rip the spirit out of each and every rider. Michael Rasmussen would be looking to repeat his prime performance from stage 8 and keep hold of the leader's jersey, while our pre-race favourites are all still in the running. Who will return from purgatory a victor, and who will fall deeper into the depths of despair? Join us for another awe-inspiring ride next on Versus. day off for the riders in the Tour de France yesterday, but when they woke up this morning, the Alps were still outside of the hotel bedroom window. And they couldn't have a more difficult exit from them today because they climbed the two highest passes, the Col de Liseron and the Col de Galibier. There are thousands of people parked on top of the Galibier to see just what will happen. I bet there's an awful lot of riders will be very happy when they get down here in about 4 hours' time. That's the finish in Briançon. Hello everybody, good morning America, and welcome now to our live coverage on Versus of today's stage of the Tour de France, the last stage in the Alps. Paul Sherwen, Phil Liggett. Paul, what's going to happen?
Well, I think we'll see for the first time a little bit of a sorting out because the Galibier is a very difficult climb. And it'll be interesting to see exactly how Michael Rasmussen races because, yes, he is the overall leader of this race. He rode a superb escapade 2 days ago through the Alps. But last year, he lost himself almost 14 minutes in the individual time trials. If he wants to win this Tour, he really has to do something special every time it goes uphill.
All right, well, we lost one contender with Michael Rogers with that dislocated shoulder, but here's where the others stand now. Alejandro Valverde, 4th, a minute and 18 behind. Denny Menchoff, he's in 10th place. Carlos Sastre. The significant thing, look to the far right to the timings there. Apart from Vinokurov when he had his crash, the favourites are grouped very close together.
There's not really very much difference at all after all of the racing we've had and the two big mountain passes. All of those riders, to me, are still very much in the same time.
In the polka dot jersey, well, he's won it for the last 2 years. He says he's now concentrating on the yellow. He's got both just now. I'm wondering what his tactics will be today on this last day in the mountains. He's the specialist climber. Let's have a look at the standings there.
Well, he's got a massive advantage there. You can see 82 points to 42 points over Sylvain Chavanel, who led going into the big mountain passes. Linus Gerdemann fairly well down with 30. But today, Phil, the important thing is there are massive points available in this competition. First category climb, the Col de Telegraph will give the first rider over there 15 points. The Col d'Isère at the start is an outside category, and that will give the first rider there 20 points. But on the finishing line at the Col de Galibier, there are double points because that's the last big mountain of the day.
Well, the racing already underway now, and we'll pick up the action earlier today here. Michael Rasmussen dressed all in yellow as he rolls away from Val-d'Isère. And as soon as the climb started, there was attacks. First of all, this was Calzati putting in a move from AG2 up. They did start the Col de Liseron with a great deal of respect, I think, but then Popovic had another idea, and he put in a very serious move.
Very serious move for Jaroslav Popovic, who many people talk about being a big star for the future. Here he came up to and caught Jose Luis Arrieta and decided it's time for me to go alone.
Maximum points for him, his first big King of the Mountain points of this Tour, 20. Laurent Lefebvre followed him over, and Solan of the Barlow World Team, another newcomer in the Tour de France, he went over in 3rd. Now, keep watching your television here. It's not for the nervous going down here. We are hitting speeds of around 60 miles an hour. That's an awful long way off the edge. Anyway, on the way down, he was chased by 5 riders. They have now joined him, including Gusev, the young rider on the squad, who is sitting there at the front right now. This is Popovic nearest us at the back. That's the situation at the moment. And just as we now go to live pictures, we're looking down here at the beautiful Alpine Towns, and that is not a good sight. Well, have they made it? Oh dear, and look at that wheel collapse, and the dog didn't seem to know what was going on, but I hope he's all right. He seems to be okay, and that looks like it's Marcus Berghardt there.
Well, he was fortunate enough to almost slow down just before he broadsided the dog. The dog actually didn't seem to be very concerned at all, but I hope that Marcus Berghardt is okay and he picks himself up. He was lucky enough, Phil, I have to say, to fall into the side of the road where it was just that little bit softer, but that's a scary moment. Have a look at this one more time. The riders have got a full lock on there. He's locking everything up, and he's completely destroyed his front wheel there. That'll be a carbon fiber front wheel. He rolled fairly well.
Well, he looks okay, Paul. That wheel really did fold up. It wasn't as if the Tour de France wasn't expected down here today, and they really should have taken more care of keeping that dog under control. He should be okay, and that's just happened as we join the live pictures, believe it or not. We're now looking down on the peloton. They are in pursuit of the leading group of 6 riders. It's a very, very hot day and set to get hotter today as well. We've hit lucky with the weather in the Alps, that's for sure. A lot of the riders will not like the wind, which is actually quite strong at the finishing line.
The important thing to remember, though, the 76 degrees Fahrenheit is actually only in the valley roads. Once you go over to the summit of these climbs, like the Col de Galibier, the temperature up at the top of the mountain is as low as 48 degrees Fahrenheit. So there's a big chill factor on the descent, compounded by speeds that the riders cover at up to 60 miles an hour. And that's what we'll see a little bit later on. They're making their way down the valley. This was a very early move that came from Jaroslav Popovic. And the 6 leaders now have a 2-minute advantage over the front end of the main field.
Well, these are Jose Ivan Gutierrez, Mikel Astalosa, Vladimir Gusev and Popovic from Team Discovery Channel, Staff Clement and Benoit Vaurenard. Those are the men who are blazing a trail towards the start of the real big mountains, starting with the Col de Telegraph.
The 2007 Tour de France on Versus is brought to you by Cervelo, and by Michelob Ultra, live life to the ultra, and by Star Motorcycles. We build it, you make it your own.
Saab was founded by 16 aircraft engineers. Their spirit lives on in the turbocharged 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi. With all the storage space you need, an estimated 30 miles per gallon, and a starting price under $29,000, you're closer to owning a jet than you think. Saab, born from jets. Log on to versus.com/fly to the finish for your chance to win a 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi and a new Cervelo bike.
For me, it's the ultimate bike for all the races.
It's the best frame in the world.
This bike, yeah, it's the best bike I've ever ridden.
It's definitely the best bike I've ever ridden. You look finally what is come out, it's Cervelo, and everybody's so happy.
Your life doesn't have one dimension. Neither should your beer. Michelob Ultra. Because you do more. It does too. Live life to the ultra.
Is the IRS ruining your life? Are IRS penalties and interest compounding daily? Stop the cycle now.
Hello, I'm John Harris, president of J.K. Harris & Company, the nation's largest tax representation firm. IRS problems have a way of ruining every aspect of your life if you let them. They don't go away on their own. The IRS can attach your wages, your pension, your savings, even your Social Security check. If penalties and interest have made your IRS problem go from bad to worse, don't despair. Call us now. Our former IRS agents and tax professionals have successfully negotiated settlements, saving our clients millions of dollars.
If you owe the IRS back taxes, don't wait another minute. Call J.K. Harris now.
Meet with a J.K. Harris consultant today and see if you too can qualify to significantly reduce your tax debt.
Call the IRS experts at J.K. Harris now for your free confidential tax settlement analysis.
800-875-8195.
Saving the world from evil is hard. Fortunately, saving time and money on auto insurance can be easy. Quote by print, instantly at Esurance. Take a fresh look at your auto insurance.
Visit esurance.com today.
It was known as the Tour of Chaos. This year, who'll get it back on track? Alexander Vinokourov, the most dangerous, determined, aggressive, and holding a grudge. Alejandro Valverde has all the tools to win it, if he can finish. Dennis Menchoff, a good rider needs a great team, and he's got one of the best. Levi Leipheimer, new style, new team, and visions of a ninth straight American victory. The real drama continues. The Tour de France, Stage 10, live tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. on Versus.
Welcome back. We're looking right down the valley here of the Iseran. We're over the big col itself, which has brought us into the valley. The only way out now is via the Col de Galibier and the Col du Telegraph. Well, we had a little bit of a nasty incident with the dog, and Burkhardt is in a group now, still chasing to get back on. There he is, at the tail of quite a big bunch of riders he's caught up, and so he's in amongst the cars now, so he will get back into the race. But what a couple of days it has been in the Alps for the T-Mobile team. We had that terrible situation when Michael Rogers crashed when he was the leader on the road. Mark Cavendish expected to leave on the rest day, abandoned during stage 8, and then the bizarre accident to Patrick Sinkovits after the stage had finished. He then went to ride to his hotel and collided literally head-on with the head of a spectator. The spectator was very seriously injured and was helicoptered away, and Sinkovich lost his front teeth and broke his nose and didn't start this morning, leaving us with 171 riders in the race of the original 189. Only 8 of the 21 teams now, to have got all 9 men, are still in the race. Well, as we look down now at the peloton still being driven along, it's time for the Saab Fly to the Finish sweepstakes. So don't forget to log on to versus.com/fly to the finish every day during the tour, and you get a chance to win a Saab 9.3 Sport Combi and Cervelo carbon bike. Today's keyword is gradient. I couldn't agree with that more today. The 2 highest passes in the Alps. We've crossed one fairly in order, really, no serious attacks. Heading for the Galibier. The job of the Rabobank boys now. This is what happens when you have the leader on your squad, and this Rabobank team is very, very strong today. Again, we'll be able to tell you about heart rates being beaten today. We put some monitors on the hearts of Ronnie Schultz, Greg Rast, Igor Martinez, Ralph Grabsch and Marcus Burkhout. Maybe we should have took a look at that one a bit earlier, Paul, when he hit the dog. I would imagine it probably shot up to about 200 beats a minute.
It will have gone up quite a lot, and his adrenaline would have certainly been flowing. We're looking at 2.5 minutes now to the main field from those 6 leaders. Obviously a preordained attack by Team Discovery Channel. First of all, it was Jaroslav Popovic, and then Vladimir Gusev came across in another breakaway to form this 6-man breakaway at the front end of the race. And those 2 riders, along with Mikel Astrolosa, are not very far down in the overall standings.
Well, we're going to see lots of stunning scenery here today as we go down the valley and through to the feed at Modène. Now we're going to take another break. We're going to take a lot of short breaks today for you, so we can give you maximum complete coverage of the climb of the Col de Galibier. So we'll take a quick break and see you in a moment.
Visa PayWave. Now there are more places and more ways to pay. Faster. Life takes Visa.
Over the course of the tour, riders will burn 123,900 calories, the equivalent of 155 hours of cardio or 263 double cheeseburgers.
While other kids were playing games, Jenny was building sandcastles. No one thought she'd ever live in one. Except for Jenny. Go inside the world's most extreme homes. All new series. Mondays at 9 on HGTV.
Find exactly what you need at Searchlight 888. Press 888 on your Comcast digital remote and go exactly where you want without leaving your sofa. Go to Automotive to search for cars, trucks, and SUVs from Denver's hottest dealerships on Searchlight 888.
Meals, all drinks, and live entertainment. Call MK Tours toll-free, 877-823-4226. Only MK Tours brings you this summer's hottest all-inclusive offers to the most exciting and relaxing destinations. Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic and Cancun in the Mexican Caribbean. Call MK Tours toll-free for more information, 877-823-4226.
Team where love means nothing and innovation is everything. Co-ed matches, coaches on the court, super tiebreakers, and superstars from around the world. World Team Tennis on Versus. The new champ of Wimbledon, Venus Williams, leads the Freedoms to Wrinkle Houston. Sunday at 11:30 on Versus.
Film, animation, and digital effects. I use my computer to connect these 3 worlds. I transform photos people send me, then email them back. I photograph my son's painting too and post them on his website. I love playing music. I even did the music for this commercial on my computer. I dream a lot, but I'm not a very good sleeper.
HP Pavilion DV9000T with Intel Centrino Duo mobile technology.
Prices they got in here. $8 candy bar, $11 for a can or 2. Now, it's prices like these that's keeping folks from living the high life. Sir, where's your beer section? Thank you. A good, honest beer at a tasty price. That's what we stand for. Clean up on aisle common sense. Hey, let me grab this. That's how we do it. Get in and out, boy. You just lost your right to sell Miller High Life is what you did.
Welcome back. Well, it's time now for Bicycle Magazine's Tour de France stages you can't miss, and this could be the next big rendezvous. Stage 13, unlucky for some, the first individual time trial in this year's Tour de France. A little bit later than usual. Lateral Air on versus this Saturday, July the 21st. And don't forget, Bicycling Magazine brings cycling to life with the bike. The August issue on sale now, and for more, go to bicycling.com. Looking down the valley again now as we get down towards, just over to the left here, by the way, is Italy. The Frejus Tunnel is off a bit further down the valley. You can climb over the Mont Cenis climb, and that will take you into Italy, just about where the riders are right now. Still 6 riders clear. 2 minutes 43 is the gap they're building. There is the back teeth of the Alps there. We've done the big one on the left. We're running down, 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 down now to the base of the Cauldron Telegraph, which takes us on to the climb of the Galibier. Pushing up, Mikel Astalosa is the best placed rider in this breakaway group at the moment. He started the day in 21st place, 5 minutes and 14 seconds behind Rasmussen. He is riding well. Rasmussen can't possibly control everybody in this year's Tour de France. He's got to play his cards cleverly, but I think at the end of the day, Paul, and not necessarily this day, he's got to gain time before the time trials.
Well, he certainly needs to gain an awful lot of time. In the 2 time trials last year, I admit he wasn't motivated for the overall classification. He didn't have the yellow jersey on his shoulders, but in the first time trial, he lost 6.5 minutes. In the final time trial, he lost 8.5 minutes, and that's a huge chunk of time to lose. He actually says he's never even bothered to train in the individual time trial because he doesn't feel any good at it at all. But what he does need to do, and he needs to show, is that he can make moves like that again in the mountains. Maybe he'll have to be just that little bit more sensible the way he moves. He can't look at another 100-kilometer breakaway as he did the other day, but he must go as fast as he can uphill to put time between himself and the other contenders.
A bit of cat and mouse in the big bunch down there right now. They're all waiting, of course, for the ascent of the Telegraph and then on to the Galibier. And the breakaway isn't going to worry them a lot. It's a good move indeed by Team Discovery Channel. They've obviously come out with a plan. They put 2 riders up there. Popovic went on his own on the climb of the Liseron, and then Gusev came across to the chase group of Astalosa, Gutierrez, Clement and Vorenard. And that's the situation at the front now. As Mikel Astalosa's highest placed, but even he is 5 minutes 14 seconds back. And today, this is a place we don't come that often to, this stretch of the Alps, and this, I think, is the very heart of this wonderful mountain chain, as they're coming up now towards the sprint here at Briançon.
Well, very shortly we'll drop down into the valley of the Maurienne, and that we do go down. A little bit of a problem there, as you saw for Gusev, almost touching the wheel of the rider in front of him. But the valley we'll touch later on is the valley where the Col de la Madeleine drops into.
Well, sprint number 2, 60 kilometers. It's not really Albertville. We don't go to Albertville today. It is Briançon where we're about to enact the sprint here. And it looks as though it's not going to be a sprint at all. Gusev is on the front. It's understandable. There's nothing for anybody here. But there is €800, of course, which these days is about $1,200. Let's see what happens as they head up towards the line they've gone through. I think Gusev got it. We'll take another quick break. Rejoin us. I'll update you then.
Who wants to be stranded with a flat tire? Changing tires out here could be dangerous, but with these tires, I don't need to worry. Well, I guess I'll be on my way.
Bridgestone. Run flat tires.
Bridgestone.
Having you here.
The Cervelo SLC SL is a pure climbing machine. Learn more and enter to win the Cervelo Dream Bike at competitivecyclist.com.
Blockbuster Total Access. Like Netflix, you get unlimited movies straight to your mailbox.
I got a movie.
I can't wait to see that movie about the Queen.
You mean this movie?
My Place in a Few?
Sure.
But with Blockbuster Total Access, you can do something you can't do with Netflix. Exchange your movies for new ones right in the store. No extra charge, just in case you need them.
Hi.
Movies through the mail plus movies through the store. One low price. That's Blockbuster Total Access. Get a free trial at your Blockbuster store or blockbuster.com.
When you take it off, you're gonna like what you see.
Scotch Blue Painter's Tapes.
Yeah, when you take it off, you're gonna like what you see.
Goes on easy, comes off clean, leaving professional paint lines.
Looking good, you got to agree.
Scotch Blue Painter's Tapes for delicate or multi-surfaces.
Go on, take it off.
If kids love to eat healthy, you wouldn't need the nutrients in Florida orange juice. One 8-ounce glass counts as almost 25% of your fruit and vegetable servings. Florida orange juice. Healthy, pure and simple.
People are smart. They know some things go together, like our Real Life plan. It's a low 6 1/8% fixed rate mortgage, a home equity loan, plus a credit card that helps pay down your loan. To learn more, call 1-800-DITEC-1. DITEC. People are smart.
Welcome back. The faces of two of the top American riders there, George Hincapie, Levi Leipheimer. Leipheimer, a big favourite, sits in 13th place at the moment, 3:53 behind Rasmussen. That's not far, believe me. Horner is riding extremely well. We've seen him on the climb of the Eton smiling today, 6:29. George Hincapie took a little bit of a knock midweek, lost 20 minutes now. Van der Velde, Rodriguez, Zabriskie, they're the workhorses for their respective teams, and they are also enjoying this tour. As we look down now from the helicopter right into the gorge of the valley here with the Alps all around. The peloton are now at 3:06. The order at the sprint, by the way, was Mikel Astalosa, Gusev and Gutierrez. It wasn't a sprint at all. They're looking to make time before they get onto the lower slopes of the Cauldron Telegraph. Here they are, all 6 riders with 2 riders on Team Discovery. They've come out with a plan. We haven't yet worked out what plan today, but they've got 2 riders into the front group, and another good performance coming from Gutierrez as well. Just looking there at Jose Ivan Gutierrez, Paul. He's been very active in the Tour this year, and there's quite a lot of Spanish riders appear to be riding very well indeed.
Well, they are, and I think the Spanish riders are really having a bit of a renaissance. So Mikel Astalosa, who is in the breakaway, he's a rider who's been a professional for an awful long time, but we hadn't really seen him perform as well as when he was riding for AG2R, as when he won at the Jacobs Creek Tour Down Under a few years ago. But this season, he seems to have been present in all of the big races once the races have gone into the mountains. Maybe a little bit of feeling like he'd gone home once he went to join Euskaltel-Euskadi.
Well, down there, deep in the valley, the next village we might see is Lons-le-Viard. It was a village that was subject to a catastrophic flood in 1957. It swept away all the houses and the hotels, but it's recovered from that now, and we should see what is now pretty much a new town down there. This is Bramans here. These are the famous forts here in the Savoie.
Well, all of these forts are basically, they're dotted around this area. There are very, very many of them. And as I said, it's all really to do with the protection of the trade routes between France and Italy. And of course, moving up towards the north, towards Switzerland as well. But they really are magnificent, these forts. And this one is especially well preserved.
Might see the red flag with the white cross on, which is the flag of the Savoie. I can't see it. We drove past this yesterday. Actually, the flag was flying. There's 5 of them in the area. They're perfectly preserved. They're all built in 1820. Stunning scenery as the Tour now goes through the gorges here, heading for the big way out up the Galibier. Well, peloton still at 3 minutes and 17 seconds. There's the river responsible for that destruction of the town we're about to arrive at, as we now take another short break so we can give you a long time on the Galibier with us.
Houston, we are on final approach to the easiest place in the universe to book a room. Touchdown. The Bodad has landed. Motel6.com. We'll leave the light on for you.
Sono Paolo Bettini, sono campione del mondo e campione olimpico. Chiedo il massimo dalla mia bicicletta. Voglio che sia ripida, leggera, bella e precisa, ma più di tutto che sia veloce. Questa è la mia bicicletta. I am Specialized.
Introducing Accelerate with protein. Proven to increase endurance up to 29% over your old sports drink. So while others fade, you can stay strong. Don't fade. Accelerate.
MMA can be extremely artful, it can be scientific, it can be a chess match, or it can be a brutal, quick knockout that nobody ever expected it.
Hopefully, Connie, you're still up for it. Baby, I'm coming after that bell.
Ricky. The new Subaru Outback with road gripping all-wheel drive, low emissions, and a price starting at just $21,995. So anyone hearing the call of the wild can answer.
Lease a new 2007 Subaru Outback for $0 down and only $249 a month at Flatiron Subaru in Boulder.
While other kids were playing games, Jenny was building sandcastles. No one thought she'd ever live in one. Except for Jenny. Go inside the world's most extreme homes. All new series. Mondays at 9 on HGTV.
Find exactly what you need at Searchlight 888. Press 888 on your Comcast digital remote and go exactly where you want without leaving your sofa. Go to Automotive to search for cars, trucks, and SUVs from Denver's hottest dealerships on Searchlight 888.
Live tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. on Versus. The real drama continues.
At Ruby Tuesday, great meals are a matter of course. First course, picked fresh. Second course, grilled to perfection. Third course, sweet moments with friends. Starting at $9.99. Petite sirloin, chicken fresco, Ruby Tuesday.
I would definitely say that I'm looking for a deep relationship with somebody that can have a great time with me. I love a guy that can make me laugh. I'm a big giggler.
Find everything you're looking for at eharmony.com.
In this life, you'll spend over 2 weeks tying your shoes, a year looking for lost socks, and over 4 years waiting until 9 p.m. to make calls. Unless you find a better way. Get Sprint and start waiting less with unlimited calling at 7 p.m. And for more ways to wait less in your life, visit waitless.org. Now get up to 5 free phones for your whole family with Sprint.
We're back. We're still going down the same valley road. Most of the riders still freewheeling here. The long descent towards the base of the Col du Telegraph. And Rabobank, the team of the race leader now, Michael Rasmussen, are all on the front, controlling the pace of the race. The gap is holding. It's not pushing out at an alarming rate, I have to say. 3:21 it is now. It's still gaining, but very slowly. 6 riders up there, including 2 riders from Discovery Channel, Vladimir Gusev and Yaroslav Popovic. And just looking down there, also a lot of Lamprey riders planning a move, I think, or liquid gas. Well, don't forget, another quick reminder about our Saab Watch and Win sweepstakes. Log on to versus.com, fly to the finish, and play the game. Today's keyword is gradient. There it is, as we look down the valley. Still going downhill here. This is a valley full of French history. with the problems with Italy, which is running on the left. They're all solved now. These boys are working very regularly together here, Paul. Everybody's doing their little turn at the front and then dropping back for a quick breather, which is good to see. That's Staff Clement, who is a Dutchman on the French Bouygues Telecom team in the light blue kit. Sitting at the back now is Gusev, and now coming to the back is Gutierrez. They're all working, as they say, quite regularly here.
Well, I say Gusev is a very good rider, a man for the future, I have to say. He's originally came to the fore when we saw him riding in races like the Tour of Flanders and Paris-Roubaix. He's a tough man for the one-day races, but I think this year in the Tour, Phil, he's actually matured a fair amount, and we may well see him vie for a top 10 position in years to come.
Well, this is going to be a very fast stage today. They are just galloping down this course today. 88 kilometres, 55 miles still to run to the finish, and they're getting all the cheers of the day. There's not a lot of life down here in the valley here, so what we're seeing is quite a big crowd, really. But we've heard that there are campers parked all the way up the Col de Glibier and have been for a number of days. So it's going to be a great atmosphere on the most famous alpine climb, and the one that was used the first time the Tour de France went into the Alps in the early 1900s. 3:24, not really getting away either, are they now? Seeing the riders here, no problems, working away. Team Discovery got 2 riders riding okay. They're not trying to commit suicide up front, they're just measuring their effort. Another break coming your way. See you in a moment.
For me, it's the ultimate bike for all the races. It's the best frame in the world.
This bike, yeah, it's the best bike I've ever ridden.
It's definitely the best bike I've ever ridden. You look finally what has come out is Cervelo, and everybody's so happy.
Special Agent, when can you get back on the road?
Hey, I'll show you. When Esurance policyholders get their cars repaired at one of Esurance's certified body shops, they can monitor repairs online 24/7. I'll be back on the road in no time.
Visit esurance.com today.
Film, animation, and digital effects. I use my computer to connect these 3 worlds. I transform photos people send me, then email them back. I photograph my son's painting too and post them on his website. I love playing music. I even did the music for this commercial on my computer. I dream a lot, but I'm not a very good sleeper.
HP Pavilion DV9000T with Intel Centrino Duo mobile technology.
Hey, Jimmy, need a little help? Sure. You know what else would be good?
Cobalt tools are so comfortable.
Let me use that screwdriver. No.
You just don't want to quit working.
Yeah. What do you think? Great tools.
Cobalt, the next generation of tough tools.
Well, anything else we can do? There's always my wife's car.
Available exclusively at Lowe's.
Hour after hour, non-narcotic Lunesta can give you the full night's sleep you've been looking for. To get a full 7 to 8 hours of restful sleep, talk to your doctor. Lunesta helps you fall asleep quickly, so take it right before bed. Be sure you have at least 8 hours to devote to sleep before becoming active. Until you know how you'll react to Lunesta, you should not drive or operate machinery. Do not take Lunesta with alcohol. Most sleep medicines carry some risk of dependency. Side effects may include unpleasant taste, headache, drowsiness, and dizziness. When you need a full night of peaceful sleep, leave the rest to Lunesta.
It was known as the Tour of Chaos. This year, who'll get it back on track? Alexander Vinokourov, the most dangerous, determined, aggressive, and holding a grudge. Alejandro Valverde has all the tools to win it, if he can finish. Dennis Menchoff, a good rider needs a great team, and he's got one of the best. Levi Leipheimer, new style, new team, and visions of a 9th straight American victory. The real drama continues. The Tour de France, Stage 10, live tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. on Versus.
Yes, with a climber in yellow and in the Alps here, the yellow jersey is now considered a very serious contender for this Tour de France. Linus Gerdemann is in second place. He had the lead the day before, 43 seconds behind, but not expected to improve. Iban Mayo, Valverde, Kashekin, they are likely favourites here, and they're best of all the favourites at the moment, third, fourth and fifth overall. Well, looking at the peloton now at 3 minutes and 31 seconds is the gap. They're nudging it out very slowly. The leader has just been through the town of Modène, I think it was. I'm not too sure. I'm pretty certain it was. And the peloton sitting at about 3.5 minutes. The far end of the valley is where the Galibier, that really tall peak to the right, is the Col du Galibier. And that's where we're bound for today. Oh, it's an awful long way, isn't it? Well, as the riders continue to hang on, make their way down. There's all the traffic trying to enter the Frejus tunnel. Let me remind you that after crossing the Alps tomorrow, expect constant attacks as the riders fight their way through the flatter lands of stage 10. From Taillard to Marseille, tune in live tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, or enhanced coverage with Al and Bob in the evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And it could be an interesting stage tomorrow. It's not totally flat. I'm not sure it'll be one for the sprinters. The Tour de France goes on. It's now in what they call the transient stages as they head towards the next big challenge, the Pyrenees, and they will be with us next weekend as well. There's the feeding station now. Here we are in Modène for the main peloton now as they go through the feed and do it, I hope, without any crashes. We've lost a couple of riders at these feeding stations. Geoffrey Lecatre, Enrico Dogano, both slipped up and crashed out of the Tour. We don't want that. Now they're sitting at 3:34 at the feed station, Paul, and I think they're just sitting very nicely here. They've not made any serious attempts to bring them back. They're all waiting for the climbs.
Well, they'll all wait for the climbs, and we're really only looking at 14 kilometers between here, the town of Modène, and Saint-Michel-de-Maurienne, and it's still pretty much downhill before they start the climb, and then it's all uphill for almost 40 kilometers. 12 kilometers to begin with, then 17 and more up to the summit of the Galibier.
Well, as you looked at the riders going through, this is another one of the towns in this valley of the River Arc, which when it flooded got wiped in 1957. Big tragedy in this area, but they've all repaired themselves now. And you can even get down this far by trains, and you can even take your trains into Turin in Italy. Another quick break. We're packing them in for you. See you shortly.
Having you here.
This summer, get the sunblock that also blocks the bite. Bullfrog Mosquito Coast Sunblock and Repellent. Up to 8-hour protection against harmful rays and pesky bites without the odor. Bullfrog Mosquito Coast. Block the burn and the bite.
People are smart. And when it comes to home loans, they don't want smoke and mirrors. They want a smart rate. Like our 30-year fixed mortgage around 6 1/8%. Call 1-800-DITEC-1 now to get a loan without being sawed in half. DITEC. People are smart.
When you take it off, you're gonna like what you see.
Scotch Blue Painter's Tapes.
Yeah, when you take it off, you're gonna like what you see.
Goes on easy, comes off clean, leaving professional paint lines.
Looking good, you got to agree.
Scotch Blue Painter's Tapes for delicate or multi-surfaces.
Go on, take it off.
Welcome to a game where love means nothing and innovation is everything. Co-ed matches, coaches on the court, super tiebreakers, and superstars from around the world. World Team Tennis on Versus. The new champ of Wimbledon, Venus Williams, leads the Freedoms to Wrangell Houston. Sunday at 11:30 on Versus.
Hey. New truck, huh? Yeah, it's a Toyota Tacoma. And guess what? I got 3.9% financing. Nice. Of course, I'm also saving money on gas. Between that and the deal, I'm spending a lot less than I thought. In fact, I finally have enough extra money to get the dog fixed. Because that's just freaking the other dogs out.
Toyota, a smart way to keep moving forward.
Look, honey, Rock Bottom's Backyard Barbecue, and they're tapping that beer you love, American Dream Ale. Hey, you're doing it again.
It's Rock Bottom's Backyard Barbecue, featuring American Dream Ale. Build your own ultimate backyard burger. The crisp, delicious Waldorf wedge, our juicy 20-ounce T-bone, plus choose your favorite picnic side. Grilled food and chilled beers. Now that's a barbecue.
I got really scared, so I just lay down on the ground, lift my arm up. That was a scary moment.
Welcome back. There's other ways to cross the Alps here. You can walk if you like. Now, don't forget to stay with us all the way in the Tour de France. And for all update information, go to versus.com. Live race updates, exclusive video, expert analysis, and join your fellow cycling enthusiasts in the fan zone for polls, podcasts, and much more. And if you miss any of the live action, this is where you can find out all about it. Highlights from every stage available, Versus on demand. All right, well, we're looking down at the Tour de France at the moment, continuing to leave the feeding station now at Modène. It won't be much longer before we start to swing onto the slopes of the Col du Telegraph here. And this long flat road is almost behind us. There it is. Once we get down to the little kink, it's up the first category climb, and it's really 4 kilometers off the top, and you start climbing straight away onto the giant Col du Galibier. All right, well, while we're on the sort of calm before the storm, let's have a look now at our star motorcycles ride of the day. And naturally, as there wasn't a race yesterday, it will come from stage 8. No prizes for guessing who it was, because it was this brilliant Danish climber, Michael Rasmussen. He didn't worry about anybody today. He just went ahead and rode them all off his wheel. And when he got to the finish, he was in solitary splendour when we came into Teen. A first time ever finish in Teen, and a Danish cyclist got home first. The reward, the lead in 2 classifications, the yellow jersey and the polka dot jersey. That's our star ride of the day. So the peloton still under the escort of Rabobank, Rasmussen's teammates. Not a long way now, Paul, before we swing away from Modène. Well, it's already behind us. We're into the valley of the Maurienne, and just a few more hamlets to race through before we start to move on to the Col du Telegraph, which will take us up to an altitude of 1,560 meters. It's in the Massif des Serches, and then that's only a little foot. What is it, about 4 to 5 kilometers down, then straight onto the Galibier, isn't it?
Yep, it's a very short drop down. It doesn't really take very much. It's 4 or 5 kilometers from the Telegraph, and it's a fairly wide and fast road into Valois. Once the riders pick their way through Valois, which I wouldn't be surprised to see on complete fate this afternoon, because it's a great place to watch the start of the Galibier, and then they've got 17 kilometers up to the summit and that incredible altitude of 2,600 meters.
Well, it's a heck of a way to spend your 30th birthday, Paul, but Leif Hoster is in the race today, and that's how old he is. As we look again at Rabobank, and happy birthday to Leif Hoster at 30 years of age. The gap is still growing slightly as we run towards the big climbs, and because of that, we're going to give you another commercial break so we can give you a great ride through the Alps shortly.
Want a shot at $100,000? Play new Subway Scrabble to instantly win food, or collect letters and play online for a chance to win thousands of prizes, including 10 $100,000 jackpots. Play often, win often. Subway, eat fresh.
The Cervelo SLC SL is a pure sprinting machine. Learn more and enter to win the Cervelo Dream Bike at competitivecyclist.com.
Saab was founded by 16 aircraft engineers. Their spirit lives on in the turbocharged 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi. With all the storage space you need, an estimated 30 miles per gallon, and a starting price under $29,000, you're closer to owning a jet than you think. Saab, born from jets. Log on to versus.com/fly to the finish for your chance to win a 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi and a new Cervelo bike.
Of all the numbers you encounter along your journey to wherever you're going, you'll find there's one number you can always count on for a great night's rest. Super 8, now with free high-speed internet, free breakfast, and more. Super 8, see you along the way.
If kids love to eat healthy, you wouldn't need the nutrients in Florida orange juice. One 8-ounce glass counts as almost 25% of your fruit and vegetable servings. Florida orange juice. Healthy, pure and simple.
What do you think of Mike Wallace and the Geico Chevrolet?
Whatever. He's out there selling car insurance. I'm out there to win.
Isn't he your cousin?
I didn't say I wouldn't go fishing with the man. All I'm saying is, he comes near me, I'll put him in the wall.
Well, you don't race in the Busch Series.
Listen, go-kart track, grocery store, those remote-controlled boats. When it comes to Mike Wallace, the story ends with me putting him in the wall.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
This summer, Versus is bringing the stars, the stripes, the painkillers. It's gonna be a red, white, black, and blue summer.
Pain's just something that you're either willing to accept or you're not.
The toughest athletes are gonna dish it out and take it on the chin. The competition is on, and the cost of victory is paid. The Versus, red, white, black, and blue summer. The suffering continues.
Pain's a good thing sometimes.
All summer long.
The 2007 Tour de France on Versus is brought to you by Subway Scrabble with 2 ways to win. Play often, win often. Subway, eat fresh.
Welcome back. The beauty of the Alps. We're saying goodbye to them today by the hardest possible door over the Col du Galibier. It's only more or less exactly 100 miles today, but the boys are flying. There's only 50 miles left to ride, and a breakaway of 6 riders scurrying for the Galibier, just on 3 minutes and 40 seconds ahead of the field. They're being pegged now by the Rabobank team, who are not allowing them to gain any more, because it's going to be showdown time pretty soon, I think. Well, as we look down the valley, another reminder here to play our Saab Watch and Win sweepstakes. And don't forget to do it. You just log on to versus.com/fly to the finish, and you can do this every day during the tour for your chance to win a Saab Sport Combi and Cervelo bike. You need that word, though, to get on today. It is gradient, and it changes every day. Well, the Arc River on the left there, just cruising quite low at the moment. There was snow in the region as recently as the last 10 days, but it's all gone away now. Summer has come now, and it's come really, really well. Whereas Britain, where the race started, it's raining there again today, and it's rained almost daily ever since the Tour started in London in full sunshine and hot weather. But the hot weather stayed with the Tour de France. It is very hot again today. And pity David Miller, by the way, the rider who rides for Sonia Duval, because we were with him talking to him yesterday, and he showed us his arms and his legs, and they were virtually puce in colour, and he's found he's got an allergy to the sun. And what's more, Paul, no cream seems to be solving the problem, and they are so scratchy, he's nearly going mad.
Yeah, they're very itchy indeed, and it's a major problem. In fact, he couldn't go out for a ride on the rest day because it was going to be more aggravated by the sunshine, so that's tough for him.
It is indeed. Well, let's hope he's got long sleeves on today, and he's very confident despite all. So, as the big peloton not showing more interest in this leading group yet, they're letting all of the other riders continue to chase down from Rabobank. All right, well, Rabobank's the boy. Michael Rasmussen is their man just now. He's in yellow. He's got a nice little lead. And just how long will he keep it, though? We'll tell you more on Michael when we come back.
Quite a few colleagues say that I look very much like a Danish cartoon figure named the Chicken.
Is the IRS stalking you? Do you feel like you're at the end of your rope? Stop the harassment now.
Hello, I'm John Harris, president of J.K. Harris & Company. The people who negotiate for our clients are former IRS agents and tax professionals. They've helped our clients save millions of dollars. They know how to make the system work for you.
Call the IRS experts at J.K. Harris now for your free confidential tax settlement analysis.
Call 800-875-8195.
Welcome to a game where love means nothing and innovation is everything. Co-ed matches, coaches on the court, super tiebreakers, and superstars from around the world. World Team Tennis on Versus. The new champ of Wimbledon, Venus Williams, leads the Freedoms to Wrangell Houston. Sunday at 11:30 on Versus.
New truck, huh? Yeah, it's a Toyota Tacoma. And guess what? I got 3.9% financing. Nice. Of course, I'm also saving money on gas. Between that and the deal, I'm spending a lot less than I thought. In fact, I finally have enough extra money to get the dog fixed. Because that's just freaking the other dogs out.
Toyota, a smart way to keep moving forward.
Bicycle Village, the ultimate bike shop. Bicycle Village has Colorado's largest selection of bikes, from tandems to trikes to top-end bikes. All the best brands and the largest selection. Over 1,000 bikes set up and ready to ride from the brands you want, like Trek, Specialized, Raleigh, Lightspeed, and more. Only Bicycle Village offers same-day bike service to get you back on your bike quicker. Plus lifetime tunes and an unbeatable performance guarantee on every bike we sell. And we always guarantee the lowest prices. Bicycle Village, the ultimate bike shop.
All new episodes of the original series, Tap Out, Wednesdays beginning August 1st on Versus.
Introducing Accelerate with Protein. Proven to increase endurance up to 29% over your old sports drink. So while others fade, you can stay strong. Don't fade. Accelerate.
I heard that. We'll leave the light on for you.
When you take it off, you're gonna like what you see.
Scotch Blue Painter's Tapes.
Yeah, when you take it off, you're gonna like what you see.
Goes on easy, comes off clean, leaving professional paint lines.
Looking good, you got to agree.
Scotch Blue Painter's Tapes for delicate or multi-surfaces.
Go on, take it off! Take.
Welcome back. We're only a few miles away now from the start of the climb of the Cauldron Telegraph. Then we'll be in the high peaks at the top of our picture. The King of the Mountains leader is a man who's won the title twice, Michael Rasmussen. He also commands the yellow jersey as race leader. And there's his gap at the moment after 2 days ago, a wonderful sortie. All right, well, let's have to learn a little more about Rasmussen now. He's our Hampton athlete profile.
My name is Michael Rasmussen and my nickname is Chicken. Well, it's an old story. Quite a few colleagues say that I look very much like a Danish cartoon figure named the Chicken. The cartoon character, it's funny and it's innocent. Yeah, I don't mind it. Up until now, my biggest result in cycling has been my 2 stage victories in the Tour de France and the 2 polka dot jerseys. My stage win from last year's Tour de France was something that I put a lot of energy into it, obviously, on the day. I knew from the course profile that if I was having one of my good days, the peloton would have a very hard time controlling me and holding me back. For this upcoming tour, it's a little harder to pinpoint a specific stage, but I would say that there are at least 5, maybe even 6 stages that suits my characteristic very well. In terms of getting points on the road, you have to be ahead of the peloton on the big days in the mountains, because otherwise you simply won't gain enough points. The trick is, of course, also to be ahead of the peloton on the last mountain where there are double points, and that way you also get the stage win.
Michael Rasmussen, Phil, has done an unbelievable job this afternoon. This is a legendary ride of the Tour.
The day I won was an amazing day.
This man, though, is the winner of the King of the Mountains for the second year in succession.
I hope it's one of those days that people will still talk about 20 years from now.
Gosh, Michael Rasmussen, isn't he a confident man? And he knows he can climb. What will his day be like today? We're about to start the Telegraph as I speak. He's 33 now, perfect age for perhaps winning the Tour de France as well. He finished 22nd in 2006. Remember him in 2005? Hated the time trial, crashed more times than I can remember, slipped from 3rd to finally finish 7th. Will he do better this time around? There is the peloton. But unless I'm very much mistaken, in my headphones from the radio out on the racecourse, I thought they announced the leaders had just begun the climb of the Cauldron Telegraph. So, might be wrong when they may have seen a signboard taking us to it. We're very close to it now. And then for the rest of the day, apart from our run down to the finish, of course, we'll be going mountaineering. And that is going to be a superb day because these boys in the peloton, they've huddled together today. Some are nervous, some are frightened to death, quite frankly, because they're not good climbers at all. But the good climbers will put their move in. The empty road of the Tour de France as the leaders now head up to the second highest spot of this year's Tour on the Galibier.
Prepare yourself. The 3 Series is here. With elegant styling and a powerful yet fuel-efficient inline 6-cylinder engine. Stop in and take a test drive today.
We know what men like. Mitchum Smart Solid. Powerful protection, unbeatable against white residue. Wow, let's see that again. For powerful all-day protection that doesn't come off on your shirt, be a smart Mitchum man.
Here's to men who want more time at the game and less time in the men's room. Here's to guys who want to go less at night. And here's to Flomax. In 1 week, Flomax may relieve male urinary symptoms due to BPH, also called an enlarged prostate. Flomax just once a day may help symptoms like frequently waking up to go, going often, weak stream, in 1 week. Only your doctor can tell if you have BPH, not prostate cancer. Common side effects of Flomax are runny nose, dizziness, and decrease in semen. Upon standing, a sudden drop in blood pressure may occur, rarely resulting in fainting. So when starting Flomax, avoid situations where injury could result. If considering cataract surgery, tell your eye surgeon you've taken Flomax. Could you feel a difference in 1 week? Call 877-4FLOMAX and ask your doctor about Flomax. Flomax could make a difference in 1 week.
I would definitely say that I'm looking for a deep relationship with somebody that can have a great time with me. I love a guy that can make me laugh. I'm a big giggler. Well, my sister went on eHarmony and she met a wonderful man named Eddie. My sister obviously had good luck on eHarmony, so she suggested I give it a try. So I am, and I'm actually looking for my Ed.
Find everything you're looking for at eHarmony.com. Log on today.
People are smart. They know some things go together, like our Real Life plan. It's a low 6 1/8% fixed rate mortgage, a home equity loan, plus a credit card that helps pay down your loan. To learn more, call 1-800-DITEC-1. DITEC. People are smart.
189 of the world's greatest cyclists are coming to France for one reason.
He's still got fight in him.
To sprint.
He's taken no chances here.
Climb.
He blew the race apart.
Sweat.
Nice show of determination.
Bleed.
Oh my God!
Fight.
What a finish!
To be the one pure champion.
Where does he find the strength from?
The real drama continues. The Tour de France. Stage 10. Live tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. on Versus.
Yes, welcome back, everybody. We are in the Alps. We have just moments ago begun the climb of the Col du Telegraph. And already, Thor Hushoff, one of the sprinters, has gone off the back of the big peloton. So this is the peloton here now. Let's have a quick look at the profile, enough to frighten you to death. This is our Accelerate mountain profile. Remember, we started today on the big climb of the Col de Liggett. That was right out of the gun today, straight up the mountain. They climbed it as a bunch, more or less. 2-2 sprints, a long descent. And now we're on the first category climb of the Col de Telegraph, taking us up to just over 5,000 feet. It's 7.5 miles, the Col de Telegraph, at an average gradient of 6.7. That's the Accelerate mountain profile for the moment, as we now look as though these boys are deciding it is time to start launching an attack. Well, this has happened rather early on, Paul. I wouldn't have expected these boys to try and break the break up like this from the gun.
Well, I think Astrolosa probably felt that there were too many passengers. The accelerations are very difficult to respond to for some riders. Jose Ivan Gutierrez has taken his time to accelerate up to the back wheel of Gusev. Popovic has come across, but it's created a situation where there are two serious casualties in this group, because Staff Clement in the blue jersey of Bouygues Telecom, he's much more of a man of the flatlands. He's from Holland, and I think he's not enjoying these accelerations on the climbs, as too is Benoit Vaugrenard.
I think that was why they launched their attack. The immediate thought was get rid of the boys that can't climb and then just lift the tempo and try and go again. But having said that, Mikel Astolotha has really decided to climb away alone, and the Euskaltel Euskadi riders this year are looking a very good team.
Well, they're a great team. We've always appreciated the way they ride in the mountains, and this man now is attempting to ride completely and utterly on his own. The former winner of the Jacobs Creek Tour Down Under. I think he's coming into some of the best form, Phil, that he's ever had in his career this year. We've seen him since the start of the season ride fairly well. It's still Miller on the front end of the main field, and Chicken Rasmussen is up there in 5th place.
Yes, he's moved right up there now. His name Chicken, by the way, was what the boys gave him, because after a famous cartoon character, which was a chicken in Denmark, and he says he doesn't mind the boys calling him Chicken. Well, they're probably all very jealous of him. Chickens can climb like he can. I think they'd all like to be called Chicken. This is the peloton here now, and Geraint Thomas was number 215. He's coming through the Alps, and that's the most important thing for this young rider from Cardiff. He is now feeling the Tour de France at its hardest here in the Alps. He had a real rough day the other day coming into Tignes, and he was getting a lot of cheers from all the people as well. But he's going to do a good ride, I think, Geraint Thomas. He might see Paris.
I'm a little bit surprised to see in this group. There is Eric Zabel riding comfortably. He just wants to survive through the mountains. Robbie Hunter just a little bit closer to us. But the leader of Team Gerolsteiner was in that group as well, Stefan Schumacher. So he's actually not enjoying his journey through the Alps.
It's his first Tour de France for Stefan Schumacher. He's not really, he's done really silly things. He's made big efforts at the wrong time, and he's paid the price in full later. But this is now beginning to be where they split up. That Paolo Longo of Barlow World, front left in the red. This little group looking as though they're not going that quick right now. 2:19 already beginning to come down, and Astolosa made an early move. This is the Col de Telegraph, remember. It takes us on to the giant Col de Galibier. This is an attack I don't think many people would have expected.
Well, certainly wasn't one that we expected. I think he may well have a chance now to increase his lead over the front end of the main field. He is a very good climber. He's from the Basque Lands of Spain, and right now he's the kind of rider, Phil, really, who could be given a fair amount of freedom on a stage like this, because I'm not sure that with the top of the Galibier being so far to go to the finish, the main contenders will want to have such a big battle today. But if they see any weakness again in Alexander Vinokourov, they will try and take advantage of it.
Well, all of the riders we think are the men to watch are all in the front half of the splitting group at the moment. Every one of them watching each other. Are we going to see a battle on the Galibier like we saw on the last two climbs taking us up to Tignes 2 days ago? They never broke away from each other. They certainly tried. This is the most interesting move that's going on now. Getting a little bit dizzy here with the shots sometimes. The big peloton, though, is thinning out dramatically just at the moment, and I'm not surprised. This rider here from Crédit Agricole is Alexander Botcharov, the smallest rider in the race. and that usually indicates you are a good climber, but I think he's in a spot of bother.
He's seriously in a spot of bother here this afternoon. Just moving back, we're looking at the riders slipping backwards as well from Team Astana. This is one of the teammates of Alexander Vinokourov, Daniel Navarro, going backwards. A rider there from Euskaltel-Euskadi slipping away.
I'm surprised to see Ruben Perez in those two orange jerseys going back. He's been riding very well.
Also slipping back there is Jérôme Pinault. Moving back as well, a rider from Discovery Channel also having a hard time. Egoy Martinez, that surprises me.
That is a surprise. He's been riding well. It's funny, the day after the rest day, Paul, we always say it affects riders in different ways. Even Fabien Weckmann, former King of the Mountains in the Giro d'Italia, is being unhitched.
And so too 161 Sandy Cassar, the big hope for France for a high place in the overall classification. He too has slipped back. Christophe Moreau, the other big hope for France this year, is riding right up at the front end of the main field.
Yeah.
There was a lot of discussion in the local French newspapers this morning as to whether or not he can become the first Frenchman to win the Tour de France since Bernard Hinault. And Laurent Fignon did not mix his words at all. He said if he wants to win the Tour, yes, you have to have the form, but you've got to ride with your head and not with your heart.
Looking at David Miller on the front, this is Miller's pacemaking that's destroying some very good riders at the back of the race. So that's a great indicator for us that Miller is riding well, like he said he was yesterday. And by the way, word of warning for all the British people who are planning on, or the riders who are going to ride in the rearranged British National Championships in Abergavenny the Sunday after this race. Miller says, I'm going there and I'm going to win it.
And he said he didn't know what the distance was, but I'll give the riders there some pre-warning as well. But he said if it's only about 100 miles, I'll go from the gun.
Oh dear. Right, well, that's Miller on the front right now. His allergy is not apparent from the distance we're looking at him, but his arms are actually puce-coloured because he has this skin reaction to the sun. And none of the cream he's put on it has made any difference whatsoever. And that's why he's got these elbow covers on as well, because that's where it is most irritating. He's actually not getting the sleep he wants because they are itching all night. It must be awful.
It is awful. In fact, when I was racing, I had a very similar complaint too. And before I went on holiday at the end of the season, I actually had to take a course of tablets to stop that reaction happening. And maybe that's what Miller will have to try and find out, just exactly what the allergy is after the Tour is over. But it's a bit unfortunate he doesn't have time to do that during the course of the event.
Trouble is, the creams that will probably do it any good contain items which are on the banned drugs list, and therefore he can't use them. And in that respect, it's rather sad. Looking down at the peloton, slowly getting smaller. Sandy Cassar went off on the back of the first climb on the easy run. He got back on. Looks like he's going off the back again here. Still all left to Miller here. He's got a job to do today. He is trying to pave a springboard for his team boss, Iban Mayo.
Well, I'm not sure if you caught a quick glimpse on the computer there of the heart rates. They're creeping up to 160 or 175 for Sergio Paulinho. This is a very hard climb.
Well, we've also heard that John Gadre has again been dropped. He's the young rider on AG2R. They're saying that he's going to be a very good rider, but he is struggling in the Alps at the moment. He's already gone off the back on the Cauldron Telegraph. Astalosa is still up front. Our cameras have dropped back to watch the action here in the peloton. But Astalosa is the man pushing the pace. He split the breakaway all over the mountain here today. Another sharp turn around to the right here. Miller still setting the pace. Let's go and have a look up the road. This is how it all happened. This was where Astalosa made his move. We'll go for just a short moment. Rejoin us on the Telegraph.
The Cervelo SLC SL is a pure breakaway machine. Learn more and enter to win this Cervelo Dream Bike at competitivecyclist.com.
Okay, now what? Rock, paper, scissors for it? Okay, that's fair. On three? Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
I threw paper.
I threw a rock.
Refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it.
Low 5.
That's cold.
At Ruby Tuesday, great meals are a matter of course. First course, picked fresh.
Second course, grilled to perfection. Third course, sweet moments with friends, starting at $9.99. Petite sirloin, chicken fresco, Ruby Tuesday.
Welcome to a game where love means nothing and innovation is everything. Co-ed matches, coaches on the court, super tiebreakers, and superstars from around the world. World Team Tennis on Versus. The new champ of Wimbledon, Venus Williams, leads the Freedoms to Wrangle Houston. Sunday at 11:30 on Versus.
Hey! Bicycle Village, the ultimate bike shop. Bicycle Village has Colorado's largest selection of bikes, from tandems to trikes to top-end bikes. All the best brands and the largest selection. Over 1,000 bikes set up and ready to ride from the brands you want, like Trek, Specialized, Raleigh, Lightspeed, and more. Only Bicycle Village offers same-day bike service to get you back on your bike quicker. Plus lifetime tunes and an unbeatable performance guarantee on every bike we sell. And we always guarantee the lowest prices. Bicycle Village, the ultimate bike shop.
Attention, please. This is a public auction notice. 200 lender foreclosed and repossessed homes in the Denver area must be sold at an unprecedented two-day public auction event. Again, over 200 houses, condos, and multifamily unit foreclosed properties have been ordered to be sold by major financial institutions. Attractive financing with down payments as low as 5%. These lender foreclosed homes will be auctioned on August 4th and 5th. Full details at ushomeauction.com. That's ushomeauction.com, or just Google home auction.
There's corners. It's scary at times, but it's important to just stay focused.
Do you know your credit score? Do you know what's in your credit report? You can find out for free right now at freecreditreport.com.
Knowing my credit score helped me save money on my home loan.
Now we can monitor all 3 of our national credit reports every day.
It helps us save money and check for potential identity theft.
Just a few clicks, and I get my credit report and credit score free.
Log on now to freecreditreport.com.
Offer applies with the Roman Triple Advantage.
Want to know how Hotwire.com can guarantee the lowest prices on hotels? Hotwire has special deals with 3- and 4-star hotels. When hotels have unsold rooms, they use Hotwire to fill them, so you get them at prices lower than any other travel site. Guaranteed, like 4 stars in Chicago. Travelocity price $179. Hotwire.com price just $96. Want a great deal on your next hotel? Visit Hotwire.com. 4-star hotels, 2-star prices.
HOTWIRE, Hotwire.com.
Welcome back. The Col de Ligeron is behind the riders. They're about 5 kilometers or 3 miles now from the top of the Col du Telegraph, and we have Mikel Astolosa blazing a lone trail. He's spread-eagled the break of 6, all of whom are still in front of the peloton, which is still being charged up here by David Miller of Scotland, but he rides, of course, on the Sonia Duval team. The Belgian flag there catching the strong winds which are blowing as well. I think sooner or later they might try and give Miller a little bit of relief here. Sylvain Calzati has gone up alongside him there, and number 52 is Michael Bogart, the strong man on Rabobank, who'll be looking after the man with the red number, and that is the race leader after his aggressive day of riding 2 days ago, Michael Rasmussen, who is now moved right to the front of the peloton.
Well, Rasmussen will defend there. You can see on number 31 on the right-hand side is Carlos Sastre. George Hincapie right in there in the red, white and blue. Just sitting in the middle of the pack, I just caught a quick glimpse of 191, Alexander Vinokourov. He has a teammate alongside him, but there's a lot of riders from Team Astana up at the front end of the main field, as Sandy Kassarfil is finding the pace just a little bit too much.
He's trying desperately to keep that peloton in sight as we head up towards the top of the Col du Telegraph. There's the Col de Glibier. All of the favourites still in that big pack. We've seen none of them come out the back, which is the most important thing. We've not expected any of them at this stage to go out of the front. Race referee there paying close attention to the riders. The Agri-Turbo team here, this is Nicolas Vogendy at the back. They've lost 3 riders now, 2 eliminated on stage 8, which was the other day, Hervé and Feliu. And they were so unlucky to lose Eduardo Gonzalo, a crash into back of one of the team cars on the very first full day of racing.
That is a very strange accident to happen in an event like the Tour de France, but when it happens on 2 occasions, that's even more bizarre, because in fact Benjamin Noval had exactly the same incident There in the pink jersey on the right-hand side, you can just see Cadel Evans. He's looking very comfortable. Says he's going to base himself on the individual time trials. Sylvain Chavanel is riding well there too, also alongside of George Hincapie, and sitting comfortably right in the middle in the black jersey. The rider wearing number 1 for Discovery Channel is Levi Leipheimer.
Well, it's 111 actually. Lots of
I said 1
though.
on his number.
Oh, it's a 1 on his number, all right. And I noticed just scooting up the outside to take a position near the front was Alejandro Valverde. So maybe they're all moving up for an assault on the Galibier. They won't use the Telegraph because of the 5-kilometre descent, which will take them on to the Galibier. This rider, though, has got to make the most of his escape and use the few 3.5 minutes or so he's in front to see if he can build on it. And he's climbing superbly. Low gear, pedalling quickly, revving around the corners. There'll be lots of encouragement for him as well as he snakes his way up to the top of this little stepping stone to the giant.
Well, he's around about 26 seconds ahead of the chasing group of riders, the riders who are just a little bit further behind him on the road. And that group is now 4 riders strong because Staff Clement has actually recovered. Now, here's a move again. Team Barlow World, Phil, every time that it's gone uphill on today's stage, have looked for the move.
Well, this looks like Juan Sola again putting in a move. He scored. He was 3rd over the top of the Liseron. And it looks like he's looking for points here. He's got an interest in the King of the Mountains competition. It's his first Tour de France, Barlow World's first Tour de France as well. And they've always had a man in front of our camera lenses. Now, Miller has continued to set the tempo pace. He's not allowed that attack to disrupt his pacemaking for Iban Mayo. And again, trying to get this peloton to the foothills of the Galibier. Nobody reacted to this young man. I don't know whether anybody even knows him.
Well, I certainly did not know the name of this young man before he came to the start of the Tour de France this year. He's a Colombian rider, a very tall, slim Colombian rider as well, Juan Manuel Soler. But he's certainly not afraid at all of going out. He wanted a little bit of water there, but
not very good, is he?
At 35 kilometers an hour going uphill, it's not always that easy to take on board a bottle.
If the passers up don't realize that they've got to let go of the bottle when he gets his hand on it, otherwise it just drops out. Well, this is Michael Bogart now setting the pace and giving Miller a break while Miller drops back now. Well, his job done at the moment. He's got Rasmussen right behind him here. There's Miller now, straight to the back.
Well, Miller did a phenomenal job because he's reduced the numbers of riders in that group quite dramatically. And what he has done is he's started to actually isolate the leader, Michael Rasmussen, because a lot of Rabobank riders have disappeared from the group, while still, although they're not doing anything at the front end of the main field, there are an awful lot of riders from Team Astana. But it's obviously, this is the plan, you see, for David Miller's team, Saunier Duval, to put the hammer down early on and set something up for Iban Mayo later on.
Well, this is a difficult pace they're setting up here now, and they're not going to give Rasmussen here a clean ride up, although he looks pretty cool right now. There's Valverde. I saw him move up the bunch, and he's found the yellow jersey and taken a place with his team right behind him.
Just trying to look at the faces of the riders now as they start to feel the pain moving in. Not a problem at all for Michael Rasmussen. He regards himself as being a pure climber. That's all he can do. He goes uphill very fast. He's not a great descender, which I always find a bit of a surprise, Phil, because after all, he started his career as a very good mountain biker, but he's certainly never really at ease on the roads of the Tour once they go downhill. And I think that's a lot to do with his change of position from his mountain biking position. He's a lot higher in the saddle and a fair way forward, which actually puts the center of gravity to the front end of the machine. If you want to be comfortable and be fast on a descent, you actually have to sit a little bit further back and just a fraction lower.
Just over 2.1 kilometers to the summit for the leader. Rasmussen, because the course in Beijing for the Olympics next year doesn't suit him, he's talking of going back to his mountain biking days just for the Beijing Olympics. And that could really all well for him. Well, the pace still being set by Sherwen Duval. They've quite clearly got a plan today, and that plan, I believe, is to launch Iban Mayo into the race lead on the Galibier and then assess who goes with them and who has the strength. Christian Moreni, a bit surprised to see him this far down the peloton. He's hanging on here. Francisco Perez, the Sanchez, is the rider in black. He wants a little bit of a help, probably a drink. Dan, this is a very, very fast pace up the Telegraph.
They're really giving it some pain on the Telegraph here, and I think we're going to see a serious sorting out once we actually do get to the higher slopes of the Galibier. There are still a lot of black and red jerseys at the front end of this group. That will be Oscar Pereiro and Alejandro Valverde. And if you look at the second row there's a lot of pink and black jerseys of Predictor Lotto, and those guys are all there rallying around Cadel Evans.
Well, I really can't work out who this rider is on the front from Sonia Duval. It's either David Cañada or it is David de la Fuente setting the pace at the moment and trying to get them up there. A few deep breaths for Rasmussen, but he's not under any pressure here. At least I don't think he is. You can never tell. His first day in a leader's yellow jersey in the Tour de France, and all of the Rabobank right behind Sonia Duval. You get some idea of the gradient when they come off the bends like that. And it's quite a big group. Even so, we're going to take about 40-50 riders onto the slopes of the Galibier. A few more may get back on the 5-kilometer drop. We're getting up towards the summit with the leader now.
I think that rider on the front from Sonia Duval is in fact Iker Carmano. He's a very good rider who was brought across to this team a couple of years ago from Euskaltel Euskadi. He's a big, tall, skinny rider. It's definitely not Kobo, who's the new rider on the block, the young man on the up, who is a slightly smaller rider. David de la Fuente's style is certainly not that one. This man's style we're discovering here this afternoon, because Mikel Astrolosa is riding extremely comfortably. He's got a very good cadence. If you look at the way his pedals are going round, he's pedaling at around about 150 revolutions per minute, keeping the gears adjusted so he can keep that high cadence up. He'll be looking for oxygen, but I reckon he's making a fine move here this afternoon. Now, there's a move coming off the frontier from Crédit Agricole.
Well, I think that he's riding extremely well there, and he's not very far from the summit now of the climb. And you're right, it's Crédit Agricole having a little dig here. It's not our usual rider coming across, which is Anthony Charteau.
Well, Charteau tried to get into one of the early moves.
Might well be. No, it's not. It is, in fact, Christophe Lemervel, who rode so well 2 days ago. May have taken a lot of encouragement from the way he rode. He got tired towards the end, but he was up front. There's the Australian dance for you. As we now go past him with the leader, they might have recognised Astrolosa because he won their race a couple of years ago in Adelaide, the Tour Down Under.
Well, this is a great ride, a great move by this man, and he's actually not losing very much of his advantage over the front end of the main field, because he's still holding on to 3 minutes and 9 seconds. A little bit of
Levi at the front here, just having a little reminder that he's in the race by the look of it.
I think he just wanted to replace himself. He didn't want to be caught in the confusion of the main field and keep himself at the front and out of danger. There, number 31, you can just see scooting around the corner there, was Carlos Sastre. But once again, Phil, because of this pace today being set by Sonia Duval, we've actually decanted this group down to a list of very important favourites.
These are all good riders now. We've got rid of the chaff as we're heading up towards the summit. This man, well, he's not riding Gilberto Simoni, but he really looks like him with his climbing style, fast pedaling, slightly unshaven, rough beard. And he's getting on with the job here now of breaking this field up. Christophe Moreau in that blue, red and white jersey of champion of France, again moving up. The French are beginning to believe he can win the Tour de France. Might be a bit premature, but you never know.
Well, to win it, he has to ride sensibly, and when he makes an effort, it has to be an effort that actually counts. He was very much criticised by Laurent Fignon for attacking 6 or 7 times on the road up to Tignes. I wonder what that's all about. We're just seeing Michael Rasmussen swing over here just to ascertain the situation, having a chat with the team management. He wants to know how many riders are left in this group. Well, I can tell you Cadel Evans is still in this group. This is Iker Carmano on the front here for Sonia Duval. He is riding like a man possessed, because riding about 4 or 5 places further back, you can get a quick glimpse of Iban Mayo. He's waiting to attack. Now, this, I think, is moving back here of Alexander Vinokourov.
And he's coming to Gerard Porte, the doctor. So he wants a word in his ear about his injuries. And Porte seems to know exactly what he wants. So this might have been a pre-race discussion.
Well, I got a feeling that Alexander Vinokourov might be playing a few games with us, very similar to the games that Lance Armstrong played a few years ago, when he conned almost the whole of the commentary position into believing that he was having a bad day, and he went on to win the Alpe d'Huez on that occasion. I think the rest day came just in time for Alexander Vinokourov, and I'm sure that as the race goes on, he will get stronger. This is the second group on the road, led by Jose Ivan Gutierrez. He's the rider on the front. The two riders from Discovery Channel, Gusev here and Jaroslav Popovic. They're at 25 seconds to the lone leader.
They haven't really lost a lot, but there's no doubt who's going to be first over, to the applause of the crowd at the top of the Cauldron Telegraph. Just a short descent, and we're on to the Galibier, and just listen to the crowd here. Igor Astalosa is the man who gets the big points on the top, and a short descent. It's a very fast descent, and then he'll get stuck into the Telegraph. The Galibier, I'm sorry.
An acceleration coming off the front now from Team Lamprey, trying to set themselves up. While a little bit further back, you can see the gap is not a massive gap now. It's going to be around about the 22nd mark as they cut the line, and it's 21 seconds for Jaroslav Popovic, who sneaked in there to get maximum points, just ahead of Jose Ivan Gutierrez.
Well, he won the top of the Col de Liseron. He's won second on the Telegraph. He'll be building his mountain points here, and nobody paying too much attention. Igor Kamano still pedaling on the front. It's interesting to note, though, that the yellow jersey has only two riders left with him now, Michael Bogart and Thomas Dekker. The only two teammates with him, and we haven't got onto the Galibier yet, and that might not all well.
Well, that's because of the work that they had to do on the Valley Road. They chased for an awful long time to keep that breakaway group pretty much in check. George Hincapie scuttling up the outside there. I think he'll be looking after the interests this afternoon of Levi Leipheimer. Leipheimer currently in a very good tactical situation because he's got two teammates off the front end of the main field, although he himself is promising that he won't unleash an attack until he gets to the Pyrenees. He feels that the slopes of the Pyrenees are much better suited to himself, but there's a move, and this is an acceleration that looks like Thomas Vogler. It is Thomas Vogler, and I think, again, Phil, this is kind of a move for the television rather than anything else.
Well, he might be just trying to nip a few points here for the rider behind. I think it doesn't look like Lefebvre.
It is.
Yeah, it is Lefebvre, and Lefebvre is scoring in the King of the Mountain. So here he's giving him a nice long lead out, and he was gritting his teeth. Just might snick a couple of the last points over the top.
Well, that'll be important because if he does remain in second place at the end of the day, he will wear the leader's jersey, although the overall title currently is on the shoulders of Michael Rasmussen. You can't wear two jerseys, especially when it's over 30 degrees Celsius, so the yellow jersey will be on the shoulders of Rasmussen, and the polka dot jersey on the rider in second place in that competition.
Well, we're just waiting to hear from the radio there who went over the top. At the moment, Astalosa, Popovic, Clement, surprised. Now, we look to be struggling. He's gone over third. Gutierrez was fourth, and Gusev was fifth. Those were the original breakaway. Beauregard, I think, is also up there. He was the sixth man in that breakaway, but he wasn't in the first five over the top. Astalosa, Popovic, Clement were the first three. And now if they might well try to get together over the top, because 5 kilometers down, then they'll start the assault of the Galibier, which is 17.5 kilometers, 11 miles. They climb to the top of the Col de Galibier. It's an awful long way. The reward, though, is a long race down into Briançon and a nasty little climb up to the finish. Here comes the peloton. The gap approximately 3:10. Let's say it was 3:10 to the premier part of the peloton. Even Sergei Ivanov there is sheltering around his team leader Vinokourov as they go through on the tail of the field. Igor Kamano's pacemaking now. Now he's been replaced at the back where Miller was. He got dropped away. Next stop will be the start of the climb of the Col de Galibier.
The 2007 Tour de France on Versus is brought to you by Specialized. You can never be too specialized.
The time trial. The clock and road are constant, but this bike cheats the wind. Every pedal stroke propels me. Do you hear it? This bike handles, this bike is aero, this bike is my advantage. I am Tom Bonen, I am Specialized.
When you take it off, you're gonna like what you see.
Scotch Blue painter's tape. Goes on easy, comes off clean, leaving professional paint lines. Scotch Blue painter's tape.
12 state lines, 47 red pickup trucks, and 3 bouncy things, 125 windmills, 98 Joshua trees. One great place to start counting sheep. Super 8, with over 2,000 locations, free high-speed internet, free breakfast, and great rewards with Trip Rewards. Wherever your journey takes you, you can count on Super 8. See you along the way.
Play Mystery Hotspot to win a dream vacation, $10,000 and more at super8.com.
Take me out to insurance. Take me to savings online. Auto insurance that's hassle-free. When you buy it instantly, let me quote. Buy quick at insurance. If you don't save, it's a shame. For it's $100, $200, $300 you could save with the insurance name.
Save time and money on your auto insurance at Esurance.
Hey, Judy. Linda, hi. We're getting that new Samsung washer dryer.
Us too, they're super quiet.
Me too.
Hey, Jeff.
Oh yeah, those are selling like hotcakes. At Lowe's, we always have hundreds of innovative appliances in stock, all at everyday low prices. Plus, we always give you free next-day local delivery and haul away. Can I help you? My wife's going to kill me if I don't bring this home. No problem.
Lowe's, let's build something together. Use your Lowe's consumer card and pay nothing for 6 months on appliance purchases of $299 or more.
This summer, Versus is bringing the stars, the stripes, the painkillers. It's gonna be a red, white, black, and blue summer.
It's just something that you're either willing to accept or you're not.
The toughest athletes are gonna dish it out and take it on the chin. The competition is on, and the cost of victory is paid. The Versus red, white, black, and blue summer. The suffering continues.
Pain's a good thing sometimes.
All summer long.
The Col du Galibier is a terrible climb.
It's a crucial climb.
It's about 43 kilometers long. It goes up really, really steep, and people tend to suffer a lot more.
And then the last 8 kilometers are just very steep, but on top of that you have the altitude.
Its peak is at 2,650 meters, which makes it even more difficult.
That's something really hard on the body. If you have a bad moment there, you can forget it.
Yes, well, they've all been reading the maps, and most of those guys have ridden over the Galibier before, because Johan Brunin himself was a great tour rider. Well, they know now what lies ahead of them, and after that, of course, it'll be a long descent to Briançon. The leading rider has just started the climb, Igor Astalosa, with about 12 seconds gap to the chase. Let's have a look then at our Accelerate mountain profile. Then we'll get some idea what they're facing. We've done the big one at the start, the highest point of the tour. We're over the top at 9,000 feet. Through the sprints, continue to descend. Popovic doing well all the way to here. Cauldron Telegraph, we've now got one man away. It's 8,678 feet. And 7.5 miles. Average, sorry, it's 6.7%. 6.9%. It's 10.9 miles. And it takes us right into the skies. Last big climb of the Alps. The lead is on it, the brakes are on it, and it looks like the peloton are about to start it. They are absolutely flying through the town of Valois. This is the main group of the peloton. All of the favourites are here, so there's no complaints from them. They've read it right. There's nobody left behind. They're about to see the sign, which will say 18 kilometres to the top, and then all the principal people in the tour are on the climb.
Yeah, but I think the dangerous thing for Michael Rasmussen is he's actually becoming very isolated. His team are doing a lot of pacemaking on the front end. The riders who are left there, Thomas Dekker and Michael Bogart, are doing so much work that they won't be a lot of help. Here at the front, Mikel Astrolosa is about to be caught by the, well, it was 4 chasers a few moments ago, but you can just see that dropping off the back there was the rider who was with them, and that is Staff Clement.
And in fact, this is Gusev who's come up, isn't it?
Yeah, this is Gusev. There you can see Gutierrez in the red and black jersey of Case d'Epargne, and just on the back there is Jaroslav Popovic. Staff Clement, the Dutch rider on Bouygues Telecom, Phil, has all of a sudden, because of the work that's been done here, found it just a little bit too difficult to stay in contact on the early slopes.
Well, he was in trouble on the Telegraph, and he goes over the top in 3rd place, so he found his 2nd win there, but it looks as though the initial charge on the lower slopes of the Galibier, a little bit too much. So we've got 4 riders, 4 very good riders, 4 very good climbers, and they were thinking of long term here, not just of getting to the top of the Galibier. And look at this, an immediate attack here from Gusev, this promising young man. There is Clement in amongst the cars. He might get back.
Well, I'm not quite sure of the tactic here of Gusev, and he's actually set something up for Gutierrez to counter. He's actually annoyed the other riders in the breakaway group. So now Jose Ivan Gutierrez says, I'm not having any of this attacking lark here. I'm going to take off on my own. I'm going to leave you guys up to your own devices.
Well, as we see, the rider is now on the climb. The Welsh flag getting in on the picture there, and that's for Geraint Thomas, who is in this race in the field at the moment, struggling but surviving well. Now, are they going to see some common sense and just ride sensibly? If they keep attacking each other like that, all they'll do is get wiped out.
Well, exactly. In the early part of the Col du Galibier, if they use their sense of fraction, they can actually work together and keep that advantage they've got over the main field, which is still holding on at the 3-minute margin. They need to share the pace, making ride for about 200 meters or so on the early part of this climb, and then allow somebody else to set the pace. You can see how difficult it is at the back, and poor old Iker Komano there, who did all of that work, is now struggling just to stay in contact, where Benoit Vaurenard, who was in the early breakaway, is now back with the rest of the group.
Well, Kamala was off. He got back on, so maybe he's going to try and get his 2nd win as well. The gateway to the Galibier, we know the crowds are big on the mountain. It looks like they're going to escort them all out of the town of Valois as well. Massive crowds. The Tour de France this year was given a great start in England with 3 million spectators in 2 days, and they've stayed loyal to the event all the way around France. Massive crowds every day of racing.
Well, that group there just being picked up was Christophe Lemaivel and, of course, Thomas Voeckler, who was looking after the interests of Laurent Lefebvre, and they shortly, too, will be back in the main field. There's going to be a serious splitting up of this main field, Phil, once we get towards the summit of the climb.
The speed of the peloton now as they start to... this is a big moment for the favourites now. Levi Leipheimer's moved right up to near the front of that peloton. He's the American favourite. He's got 2 teammates up the road. This is Thomas Voeckler gritting his teeth and staring straight ahead. Christophe Lemaivel is having another little dig here just behind him. This is proving to be, again, the early attackers coming from a strange source.
Well, I'm a bit surprised at Thomas Voeckler. I'm absolutely convinced the only reason he's making this move is to get his face on French television once again and to raise his level of popularity. Can see the front end of the main field. You see they're not actually chasing these riders down at all. It's like swatting flies when you see Thomas Voeckler go for an attack, and I think that's basically what they're leaving him out there to do. Very shortly they will swat him on the back and he'll be back in the main field, and before we get to the summit of the Col du Galibier, he'll be well out of the back.
2 Rabobank riders survived. They're both on the front, just trying to keep this race intact by setting a tempo. They hope that they're discouraging the other favourites in this peloton to launch an attack, so they're trying to keep control of this race. These are the leaders, 4 of them now. Clement hasn't got back to us, so Gutierrez, Astaroth and Gusev and Popovic on the same team, the last 2. At first it's a steady climb up towards the forest, and then we get a few nasty kicks. The last 8 kilometres are very, very steep.
Yeah, that's exactly. At the moment we're well in the tree line, but once we start to cover about 10 kilometers of this climb, we go out of the tree line into the big open area, which looks very much like a desert. There you can see Thomas Dekker sliding away from the front end of the main field. Great job of work here being done by Michael Bogert, a 2-time winner of stages in the Tour, one way back in 1996 on the road into Aix-les-Bains, and that was a day when it was absolutely pouring down with rain.
Day.
But look at this young man in the white jersey. This is the big revelation of German cycling, Linus Gerdemann. He leads that white jersey competition. He wore the yellow jersey as well for a day, and he is actually becoming a great revelation. And I think the German television spectators are actually starting to turn back onto the Tour and back onto cycling because of this young man's rides.
Well, let's hope that is the case. He's certainly a beautiful new image for German cycling. And still all of the riders who matter are in this peloton, but how long are they going to sit there without putting in some effort? They can't allow this pack to ride up the Galibier and not make an attack. It won't happen. But they know the end is very, very steep, and there's a little change of hierarchy there as more riders start to move up near the front. And I think the case the Pan riders.
Well, I have to say Team Discovery are in a very good position tactically, because they've got two riders in that leading breakaway, and two serious riders as well, Vladimir Gusev and of course Jaroslav Popovic. Popovic, a man who's finished on the podium in the Giro d'Italia. And as we look here at the side of the road, we get a chance to see that not too far away from the peloton here this afternoon is of course Michel Sarkozy, the new president of France, who I think, Phil, is enjoying his visit.
Well, it's this monument of his country, the Tour de France. It's the biggest annual sporting event in France, and some would say in the world, with the television coverage going out to 170 nations on a daily basis. The organisers say there's 150 million viewers on every day of the Tour de France. That doesn't count, of course, the 750,000 average on the roadside every day. This is a very, very big sporting happening. Well, a little bit of help required for Gutierrez, probably drinks here as we start to get right into the valley now.
They've got to keep themselves stocked up. It's going to be a very rapid climb, Phil, because if you look at those flags at the side of the road, it's going to be a tailwind ascent, and that actually bears well for the climbers. They appreciate that a lot more than a headwind. The headwind, the climb, will actually work against the climbers because it makes it very difficult for them to show us just how quickly they can go uphill. This is moving up on the right-hand side. Thomas Dekker learning the hard way in his first attempt at the Tour de France that when you're on the team of the overall leader, you've got an awful lot of work to do.
Just watching here, the newfound star of Dutch cycling here, Thomas Dekker, won the Tour of Romandie this year. He's 22, and he's riding like that at the front of the race. Down there, it's getting hot and hotter and hotter. We'll head up the Galibier, another short break, rejoin us, a long way to go yet.
Saab was founded by 16 aircraft engineers. Their spirit lives on in the turbocharged 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi. With all the storage space you need, an estimated 30 miles per gallon, and a starting price under $29,000, you're closer to owning a jet than you think. Saab, born from jets. Log on to Versus.com/fly to the finish for your chance to win a 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi and a new Cervelo bike.
What do you think of Mike Wallace and the Geico Chevrolet?
Whatever. He's out there selling car insurance. I'm out there to win.
Isn't he your cousin?
I didn't say I wouldn't go fishing with the man. All I'm saying is, he comes near me, I'll put him in the wall.
But you don't race in the Busch Series.
Listen, go-kart track, grocery store, those remote-controlled boats. When it comes to Mike Wallace, the story ends with me putting him in the wall.
Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
We know what men like. Mitchum Smart Solid. Powerful protection, unbeatable against white residue. Wow, let's see that again. For powerful all-day protection that doesn't come off on your shirt, be a smart Mitchum man.
People are smart. And when it comes to home loans, they don't want smoke and mirrors. They want a smart rate. Like our 30-year fixed mortgage around 6 1/8%. Call 1-800-DITEC-1 now to get a loan without being sawed in half. DITEC. People are smart.
Oh my God.
Whoa, dude, did you pee yourself? Meet Dave and Jerry, two video game programmers destined for greatness.
I just dropped a deuce in the brownie bowl.
But first, they'll have to survive their new boss.
I don't have to be a pig farmer to know a cow turd when I see it.
From the genius behind Minora Team and one of the warped minds behind Crank Yankers, introducing Code Monkeys.
FYI, tequila makes monkeys crazy.
Code Monkeys, Wednesday night at 9, only on G4.
Bicycle Village, the ultimate bike shop. Bicycle Village has Colorado's largest selection of bikes, from tandems to trikes to top-end bikes. All the best brands and the largest selection. Over 1,000 bikes set up and ready to ride from the brands you want, like Trek, Specialized, Raleigh, Lightspeed, and more. Only Bicycle Village offers same-day bike service to get you back on your bike quicker. Plus lifetime tunes and an unbeatable performance guarantee on every bike we sell. And we always guarantee the lowest prices. Bicycle Village, the ultimate bike shop.
Attention please, this is a public auction notice. 200 lender foreclosed and repossessed homes in the Denver area must be sold at an unprecedented 2-day public auction event. Again, over 200 houses, condos, and multifamily unit foreclosed properties have been ordered to be sold by major financial institutions. Attractive financing with down payments as low as 5%. These lender foreclosed homes will be auctioned on August 4th and 5th. Full details at ushomeauction.com. That's ushomeauction.com, or just Google home auction.
Welcome back. The long valley but slightly uphill road. We're on the Galibier Pass now as we climb up the last 8 kilometres. Our real back-breaking roads. But the field, the breakaway is reformed at the front. There are 5 riders up there. And stay with us now, commercial free, till we climb to the top of the Col de Galibier. The big peloton is 40 strong at the moment. None of the favourites has made a move. And perhaps more importantly, none has been dropped either. There's the information on the Col de Galibier. We're going up now to 8,678 feet. It's 6 times the height of the Empire State Building. Oh, my. Well, the boys will know when they get up there. The air is very thin and very warm today, not as chilly as it might be. Somewhere on 40 cyclists in the group here. A brilliant ride there by Steph Clement. He took advantage of a little bit of a respite on the lower slopes of the Galibier and to put himself in the lead with 5 riders as we're running now inside the last 50 kilometres of the day.
It's a difficult thing to do what Steph Clement did just a few moments ago, Phil, because very often when you're dropped on a climb, you get demoralised, and he really dug into his suitcase of courage to pull that one back.
He did.
He rode and rode and kept them in his sights all of the time, probably helped by the fact that he's a former time trial champion of Holland. Here's the French national road racing champion, trying to read into his face as to whether or not he's got over his rest date. And the big advantage he's got is at 36 years of age, he's seen almost every aspect of the Tour. He's had the yellow jersey, he's led the race, he's won the prologue, he's abandoned on the slopes of the Pyrenees when he was looking for a high finish overall, so he shouldn't have too much to worry about. Sauvage Chavanel is in the polka dot jersey. He's not leading that competition. He's actually second in the competition to Michael Rasmussen. But unfortunately, Michael Rasmussen can't wear both jerseys on the same day.
Indeed. This man in his colours is national champion of France, which is giving him an inspiration, I would think, every time he looks down. He's just sitting here at the moment. There's no point in trying to attack just yet on the lower slopes of the Galibier, but it gets harder as we get up towards the summit. I notice Johan van Summeren, this brilliant workhorse of both Robin McEwen, no longer with us, and Cadel Evans. He chases on the flat and he chases on the hills, and he's getting a lot of interest shown in him this week. We've rejoined the leaders, Team Discovery Channel, 2 riders on the front. Mikel Astolosa, probably grateful for the company now, and the ride at the back has just come on here, his mouth wide open. Former time trial champion of his country, and here he is showing us he can climb. Steph Clement.
Well, we're now, Phil, just going a little bit further back. These are the legs of Mercado, who's decided to go out of the front end of the main field, and he's only 1 minute and 55 seconds away from that leading group, but the main field are also reducing the gap because they're at 2:15. You can now see that we're starting to get into the slightly tougher part of this climb. In the early part of the climb, it's a flat, undulating climb. But now that we're climbing out of the tree line, we're getting to halfway up the summit of the Col du Galibier, and we're getting into the steeper gradient as well, because from 4 and 5% gradient, we're now starting to approach the 8 and 9% gradient, and that is where it's the ideal situation to attack. Although I do think that the main contenders will wait until the last couple of kilometers before they try and get rid of riders like Vinokourov and see if they can find any weakness in the climbing ability of Michael Rasmussen.
Well, the valley is picking up a very, very strong wind at the moment. You probably noticed that by the flags, as the wind is trapped between the Alps on both sides of this road. Gradually, we will be lifted higher and higher till we get into the area where there's always snow, and it comes off the mountains around June, and it's soon back on there around late September, early October. Hence the reason nothing grows up there on the tops of the Galibier. It is very barren. It is like riding in the desert now, and these 2 workhorses, Bogert on the right, Thomas on the left, Thomas Dekker, they're doing a superb ride for as long as they can.
I was talking to Laurent Fignon, the two-time winner of the Tour, Phil, just before the start, and he actually went out on the course this morning and rode from the top of the Col de Lauterre down here to the finish line in Briançon. And although the riders at the moment are experiencing a tailwind which will allow them to climb very fast, once they go over the summit of the Galibier and start to come down the valley into Briançon, the wind changes and becomes a headwind climb, a headwind finish for them, and that is going to make it very difficult for lone men off the front. I'd kind of forgot about Soler. He's still caught in no man's land.
Well, I'd totally forgotten about him. He went over the top in 6th place, but he's now joined the leaders. Our cameras never saw this, but that is a superb ride by this first time in the Tour. We never had a camera on him. We knew he'd gone over the top of the Telegraph in 6th place, and that's a good attitude to take, isn't it? Big effort by Soler, straight through anybody coming. This will lift the tempo up, I would think.
This will certainly lift the tempo up. This rider is a Colombian rider. They have absolutely no fear of the mountains at all. You can see Popovic felt that one as accelerated. This is the way to do it. Take him by surprise, and immediately he comes in contact. He goes straight down by on the right-hand side. Popovic, I think, a little bit caught out by that move there, but all of a sudden he thought, oh, this is not too bad for me. It's a great ride by the Colombian, and the thing about Colombians, Phil, in their own country, they have climbs that they race up of up to 40 kilometers in length, but this has put a nail into the coffin there of Vladimir Gusev.
Well, Juan Mauricio Soler Hernandez is his full name, and he's now just got himself into a rhythm here, and these guys must have said, who is this man with the long, thin legs? As we look here, he tries to snatch a bottle, and Soler has come up from absolutely nowhere, 6 over the top of the Telegraph. He's joined the front runners, and he's split them up, and now he's causing some pain. This could be the first, or let's say the next surprise of the Tour de France today. We now have 4 leaders on the climb of the Col du Telegraph. Just arriving is Soler, and he split away everybody else. There's a nice piece of artistry work there, but the big news is Soler has joined Gutierrez, Popovic and Astolosa. Not Gutierrez, Gusev, Popovic and Astolosa.
Well, the main field are just allowing this to happen currently. They maybe need to take a little bit of attention to Juan Soler, because he, in fact, started the day in 27th place. He's also a rider who last year won the overall classification of the Circuit of Lorraine, which is an indication that he knows how to ride a stage race. And coming from Colombia, Phil, he won't be very much worried about the altitude at the summit of the Col du Galibier, because at 2,600 meters, that's where most of the climbs start in Colombia.
That is absolutely right. He'll be very much at home here. He comes from altitude. He knows all about this, and he started his move up to the front. And he will have caught one or two of these riders off guard, Paul, because he's never been in the Tour de France before. He's never distinguished himself yet. They may not really know much about him.
Well, in the early part of the year, he actually finished 2nd in the Milan-Torino race, and that wasn't a bad performance, and he's not worried at all by this, and he keeps seeing the acceleration. He will take advantage of the steepness of the climb once we get up towards the summit. But still, if these riders want to survive, Phil, I think they need to stay together as a group of 3 or 4 if they can, because it's a long ride down from the top of the Galibier, 37.5 kilometers from the summit of the HC climb Galibier down to the finishing line in Briançon. We're halfway up the climb now with about 9 kilometers to go to the top of this 18-kilometer climb.
We're looking at the 4 members of the breakaway now. Gutierrez, Astolosa, Soler, the rider from Colombia, who has flown across the gap to the leaders and has joined them here and is splitting them up, because he's now put Astolosa in trouble, and he was the man who was setting the pace until Soler, 6 over the Telegraph, sprinted to the leaders, and he's contented himself now with breaking them up. Gutierrez also gone.
Well, Gutierrez has been a man in almost every serious move since the start of this race. I think he was tipped as the man to go into the breakaways for Team Case d'Epargne. He will now, I think, Phil, get into a rhythm of his own and wait and see what happens when his big man, Alejandro Valverde, comes forward a little bit later on, because I feel it may well be Valverde's day here this afternoon, as Soler, as you said, Phil, could be the man to create the massive surprise in this Tour.
He's never won a bike race as a professional. Baller World, obviously, he's impressed the management there, because they've signed him up and put him in the Tour de France. And look at the concentration of the climber from Colombia. Most impressive the way he came up to the leaders. He, as I say, gone over the top of the Telegraph in 6th, and our cameras didn't follow him. But then he just came up and he completely blown this breakaway apart. The thing is, he needs to have a good rhythm, and he's riding to his own rhythm here.
Well, this is the front end of the main field. You can see still it's the orange jerseys on the front here of Team Rabobank. They're going to do an incredible job to try and keep their man protected for as long as possible.
Well, he won the Tour of Lorraine last year, 2006. Well, I'm not sure he wasn't an amateur elite rider then. As he continued to come up the mountain here, we know then that he can climb, and the Tour de France knows it now. He's been nibbling all day at the hills, and now he's hit the front. This is the pack with all the favourites in, and again, no one is attacking each other here. And now it looks as though we've got Thomas Volkler in a little bit of bother. He's unhitched the back. He made a lot of effort, but he's been dropped.
We kind of predicted that was what was going to happen to him, and I think that is exactly what has happened to him, as he was a little bit too aggressive in the early part of the climb.
Well, that win for Solo last year. He turned professional in 2006, Paul, but I didn't notice that win he got in the rain.
He rode last year for Team Acqua Sapone, the Italian team, and I think that's where they saw the talent of this young rider. A lot of difficulty now at the back end of the main field as riders who've been working for their teammates start to drop back. That's Francisco Perez going back for Caisse d'Epargne.
Oh, boy. This has really hurt that acceleration now. Nicolas Portal was carrying the water earlier. Is the boy in black here now as well. Marcus Foten, white jersey contestant last year, finished second in that competition. He's just peeping into our picture. I think the Galibier is getting a bit tough.
It is. Laurent Lefebvre was the rider from Bouygues Telecom, also slipping back there as well. He was part of the aggression on the Col du Telegraph. You must respect a mountain like this. It climbs up to 2,650 meters in altitude. It's very craggy at the top. The air is extremely rarefied. And Jaroslav Popovic is on a bit of a mission here this afternoon, Phil. He was caught out slightly by the acceleration of Juan Mauricio Soler, but now he's getting himself back into a rhythm.
Well, look at this boy. He's itching to get on with the race, and he's only 24 years of age. As he moves up now, pushes the pace. Astolosa trying to get up here to Gutierrez, and maybe they can work again together. Refusing the water. They don't like taking water from anybody in case it's contaminated in any way. They'll only pour it over the heads. They'll never drink it.
Well, that's the important thing in the mountains. You want to take this drink on board and this water on board and just use it for cooling purposes, because a lot of times the people and the spectators feel at the side of the road, they just pick up that water from the streams. It's great as a refreshing element, but certainly a little bit precarious to drink, because one thing you certainly do not want in a race like the Tour is an intestinal problem from drinking dirty water.
Well, we just passed the Colombian flags there as we watch here Juan Miguel Mercado go through. He's still ahead of the big pack and still behind the breakaway. There's the big pack. All of the favourites still in there and still no sign of a move. So to me, unless something really happens towards the top of the Galibier, the reason they're not attacking is because of a lot of downhill run into Briançon, and they might try to snatch just a little bit of time on the climb up to the finish, which is only about 1 kilometre.
Well, it's a very steep once you start to get up there. The South African flag there waving for Team Barlow World. Although registered in the United Kingdom, it's very much regarded as a South African squad, and they've found a brilliant rider here with the man in the red and white jersey there, Juan Mauricio Soler. He's been very successful in his home country of Colombia before actually turning professional. He won himself a very famous race called the Tour of Boyacá. And having been there to the region of Boyacá, I can tell you it is a very mountainous stage race, that one.
Well, they found a climber from Colombia. They brought him to the Tour de France. He's now suddenly unleashed all of his anger on this slope. He's not looking at all under pressure. Off to the right there. Mercado will see the leaders here because they cut right across the valley. The French flag flying very strongly as the riders turn into the face of the wind just around this bend. This is the man who's cutting a trail through the wind, and he's just not interested in any help from anybody. I think he'll crack the whole field here.
Well, that's a big thing for him to move this afternoon, and it's an amazing thing when a rider like this comes from Colombia to the Tour de France for his first attempt, and he has absolutely no fear of the height of these climbs. The majority of his racing in Colombia was done at altitudes in excess of 3,000 meters, and that's why he will take advantage of the rarefied air. But I have to say that the rider from Team Discovery Channel, Jaroslav Popovic, is doing a great ride, and in fact, looking a little bit further back, Soler has said goodbye.
He's just cracked him. He kept the rhythm on, and he's cracked Popovic, one of the big riders on the team. Just look at the acceleration here, and we've got the best witness on the Tour de France, because standing to the car at the back is the president of France, Nicolas Sarkozy, watching this big battle on the Galibier, and the crowds are going to get bigger and bigger now.
Watching the big show, because this is a massive big show. Popovic probably sensibly, Phil, not responding to that acceleration, just making sure he stays in his own comfortable tempo and hopes he'll catch him on the descent.
The battle of the Galibier is in full cry now, and one man, a Colombian, is showing them all how to tame this alpine mountain. And this is a problem for Christophe Lemervel. That's bad luck.
Well, he's broken his rear derailleur there. You can see that big problem. He's going to have to wait a fair amount of time for his team car to come up alongside him. The derailleur very often happens. There's another move here coming from Case d'Epargne now.
Well, this is it. They've waited till the steepness of the climb, and now the favourites are ripping into the Galibier.
Alejandro Valverde has said, I like the Galibier, I'm going to make a move here. Michael Rasmussen takes up the chase behind him. So too, you can see, coming alongside is Cadel Evans, and Cadel Evans has got some power in him this afternoon, and he's going to have a move. There is Alberto Contador moving up. Iban Mayo, Levi Leipheimer, the big names are moving forward.
This is it. This is the moment. All of the favourites have gone together, and Cadel Evans, the man they keep saying only follows, is the man leading right now. Cadel Evans is testing them today. Valverde started it. There's a little split, and the Astana boys are back there. Cloden and Vinokourov have not answered the call of that little split.
Well, they need to be very attentive, and I know the big favourites, Phil, they're very worried about the situation around Alexander Vinokourov. They know they need to get some big time between themselves and him before this race goes down to the Pyrenees. A lot of riders swinging off the back now. Javier Florencio, the Spanish rider from Bouygues Telecom, trying to stay in contact with this group. What the riders from Astana must do is gather their forces now and try and slowly pace Alexander Vinokourov back into the group. Great job being done there by Johan van Sommer, and I'm amazed to see him going over these mountains.
Well, he's seen his man Evans get up into that leading group now, and this now is a battle of the big men. Sergio Paulino is in that second group, the yellow jersey below, itching, but no reason to go round Valverde, and Evans has dropped behind the yellow jersey, but these boys, wait till they sweep here. This is the Galibier towards the summit with the crowds now, and that the big boys are testing each other once again.
Well, this is Eglinski. There's the leader of the young riders jersey there, going backwards. That was the man who made that massive big escape. And here is why the attacks are going on, because Alexander Vinokourov, Phil, has not been playing with us. He is suffering on the slopes of this climb. He's got Eglinski with him, and Eglinski will try and pace him back into the race a little bit later on. Gerdeman there in the white jersey is learning how hard the Tour de France can be.
Patrice Algon, number 107, himself quite a good climber, also caught in the split here. They've wiped out to the lead of Juan Mercado. They've brought in, when he looks over his shoulder and he sees these boys, he'll know he's in the hot end of the Tour de France, because these boys are going to turn the gas on now to put Valverde behind. And the yellow jersey of Rasmussen is right there. They pick up a tailwind, judging by the American flag for the moment. Valverde joins Mercado, then Rasmussen, Cadel Evans, Contador, Leipheimer. They're all there, and I think Cloden is there.
Well, Cloden looked to be the tall Longelaine figure of the Astana rider, but what a great champion move by Alejandro Valverde. There is Cloden just moving through. There is Christophe Moreau. There is Carlos Sastre. They're all here. Iban Mayo, all of the big names. The one big name that appears to be missing is Alexander Vinokourov, and I'm quite convinced, Phil, that is why they're moving like this. There is Andrei Koshekin on the back. Vinokourov is not in this group.
No, he most certainly is not. David de la Fuente is here, third in the King of the Mountains last year, and now just pushing behind them there. Steph Clement also gone back on the far left of the screen. He stepped aside from the tornado blowing along the side of the Galibier now. Valverde is setting the pace. They're testing each other, but as one unit, they're driving away from Vinokourov.
Well, this is a difficulty at the back, and now you can see another man who is having a bit of a problem there is Andrei Kushakin, and this is all the pressure on the front end of the main field. David Arroyo slipping back as well, as you mentioned, but I think all of these riders, Phil, are a little bit concerned about Alexander Vinokourov. They know there's 110 kilometers of time trialing left to go in the Tour de France, and they want to get as much time as possible over the Kazakh rider because they know that he will ride himself back into form in this race. They know how tough he is. And of course, Alejandro Valverde remembers what happened to him last year in the Vuelta a España.
But don't forget, there is still some 30 kilometers, no less, of time trialing. A little bit more than 30 kilometers down to Briançon. As they make the run down, will be at the 122 kilometer point here. So it'll be 37 kilometers to go, mostly downhill. Vinokourov will muster his troops around him, but it's going to be a great pursuit now because Sony Deval have got the top two climbers here, De La Fuente and Iban Mayo. Here's the white jersey of this young rider who's second overall. He could be losing his second place now. It's all happening on the Col de Galibier today. The face of Gerdemans, he's such a fighter. He just got to get over the top, and then he might get back to those leaders.
It's 37.5 kilometers from the summit of the Galibier right down to the finish. That's Sergio Paulinho going back there, the silver medalist from the Athens Olympic Games in 2004. But look at the damage that's being done in this main field now. Armets Churukwa going backwards there from Team Euskaltel Euskadi. Nearly all of the main favourites, though, Phil, are still in this group. And the man who is missing is the big rider from Kazakhstan, Alexander Vinokourov. That's Levi Leipheimer in second position. He's riding a defensive role here this afternoon. His teammate is at the back of that group as well, Alberto Contador.
The gap is the leaders, 33 seconds. The group Maillot-Jaune we're looking at 2:35 off the lead, but they're not so worried about what is happening up front. This is an infight going on here between the favourites and the men who are heading up the classification. And they've got rid of the big favourite of the Tour de France right now, Alexander Vinokourov. The odds of him staying off the back of this group are not with the breakaways here because there's a long way downhill to the finish.
Don't discount this man, though, because he hasn't got the accelerations. He's got a teammate alongside him, but sitting on his wheel is the man who finished second in the Tour de France last year, number 11, Oscar Pereiro.
His job, though, now is to sit there and, if it's to be, go down the tubes with Vinokourov. He can't help him get back up to Alejandro Valverde. This is the select group, and here comes another attack up on the inside now. And this is the sort of move we expected.
Well, this is Alejandro Valverde. Once again, look at that little crucifix around his neck, bobbing in the wind with the acceleration. And Iban Mayo is the man trying to come across to him. This is a good move. There is Cadel Evans and the yellow jersey of Michael Rasmussen. I have to say, I don't think I've ever seen Alejandro Valverde ride like this.
They've caught Mercado. They caught him, and they've now dispatched him by another acceleration. Evans has clawed his way back with Mayo and De La Fuente. And behind, they're all coming back, but there's not so many now. I think Leipheimer's there. Moreau is trying, but he's a bit slow on the reaction at the bottom of our picture.
Well, Moreau, at 36 years of age, probably doesn't have the accelerations on these climbs that the younger riders have. He has to just be nice and calm and collected and pull himself back into this group, and he's doing that. They're singing at the back of that group, bobbing along there. You could see Alberto Contador, and they've now started to get rid of this man, and this was the man that they were really worried about, Andrei Kushakin. He's slipping away.
And he was sitting in 5th place overall.
Menchov is gone.
Menchov is trying to go. He's 5th place overall because Shakin is in trouble. Denis Menchov, he's doing a lot of work for his team leader in yellow. Might be paying the price here. 3:06 was slowly Vinokourov's group is losing ground. Well, who is going to be next to throw something in here?
They've only lost 30 seconds to Alexander Vinokourov at the moment. He won't panic. He's got a teammate alongside him. There's still a long way to go to the summit of this climb. And if you're an older rider, you dare not drag yourself into the red zone, because if you do that, you will not recover. He's riding right now on experience. Clodin is still in contact, though.
We are looking at 11 riders here. These are not the leaders on the Col de Galibier, but they are the favourites. They've now put another favourite in trouble, which is Denis Menchov, just at the bottom of the picture. Vinokourov is here in this group. I don't think they're opening big enough gaps. I think they will all ride back, but the leaders have shown the colours today.
Well, Team CSC are struggling too, because looking at that group, I couldn't see number 31, and Team CSC may be having a little bit of a problem with their man, Carlos Sastre.
Looking at the back of the champion of France, he's just about hanging in on this wall that's taking place now. He's only just on the back there of Iban Mayo, who's on the front of the group. Moreau fighting his way back in, the Breton flag there. A little bit limp at the moment, so they're in a sheltered part of the climb. Well, I think for now we can forget that Cadel Evans is not a follower, because he's been sharing the work and he's gone again.
Well, he's gone to the front. They've now seen their opportunity to put time between themselves and, of course, Alexander Vinokourov. Actually, just at the back of that group is Carlos Sastre. He's 3 from the rear, so he's comfortably in there, the leader of Team CSC. But Valverde is the man, Phil, who is really trying to nail everybody down here this afternoon, looking over his shoulder to see what sort of damage he's doing. Iban Mayo is in 4th place. Contador dancing all over that machine, is trying to stay up there as well. And Levi Leipheimer, I have to say, is actually looking very comfortable.
They're all just taking the pain that Valverde is throwing at them right now, and if they feel they might get him, they'll hit him. They're all conscious of the fact there's a long way to the finish downhill, and they know that whoever they drop at this point should rejoin on the chase to Briançon. And I wonder if Moreau remembers that, because he's now coming back again. There's the 2 climbers. The work that David Miller did today has set up his 2 top men for a likely stage win. The guy in orange there for T-Mobile trying to just bring this team back into the race after all of their bad luck of the previous 2 days. And that's Kim Kirken, and he's climbing very well today.
Well, there you can see him in the pink jersey just at the back there, but this is a massive battle as we come up towards the summit of the Col du Galibier. The sad thing is, though, that there's 37 kilometers to go to the finish line in Briançon, and unfortunately the last 1.5 kilometers are up to the summit of this climb here in Briançon. It's going to be very difficult, but we've forgotten about this man, Juan Maurizio Soler. He's riding alone at the front of this race. Never mentioned his name before the start of the Tour de France, and now all of a sudden he's becoming a star.
And if he can get over the top with any lead at all, they'll continue the infighting. He might get away. There's a shot by, it's gone by. This is an attack here now as we start. This is
Contador.
Contador, who has gone clear. An attack by Alberto Contador, 40 kilometers from the finish. This is the rider who was frustrated on the road up to Tignes when he got a back wheel flat tyre when he was with the leaders. He got a tyre change, swept through the remnants of the chase punch, and almost rejoined the leaders.
He's just gone past his own teammate there, Jaroslav Popovic. This man, Johan Brunel, said to us, Phil, at the Dauphiné Libéré, I have rarely seen a man who can accelerate on a climb like Alberto Contador. Cadel Evans has seen the danger there. He's grappling to get himself across. He's seen this as a very important move, and Michael Rasmussen has not followed the accelerations.
I don't think he can. It's not his suited way of climbing here. He's going to have to climb his way back in, and he's got Leipheimer on his back wheel, who can't help him now because Alberto Contador, his teammate, is racing up towards the leaders.
Well, on this wheel there, the wheel of Levi Leipheimer, in fact, was Jaroslav Popovic as well.
And just look at this now, a terrific effort by Cadel Evans here, indicating to us, Paul, this man could win this year's Tour de France. He's a great time trialist, and he's going back up to a man who is an absolute Tour revelation. Alberto Contador's never ridden the Tour before. He was almost dead with a serious head injury. He has a plate right over the top of his skull. And now Contador saying, you've caught me, work with me.
Well, that was a little sign there. He moved his finger around in a circle and said, come on, let's work for this. We've got a gap now over everybody else. If you want to win the Tour, mate, you better come with me, and you had better work together. It's still around about 2.5 kilometers to go to the summit of the Col du Galibier. Cadel Evans is all over his machine. He saw that move coming there. He knew he had to stay with it. And looking back, that's a nice, serious gap opening here. We're looking at around about 30 seconds by the time we see the next group of riders appear. Valverde, Rasmussen, Leipheimer, Popovic, Iban Mayo, and the rest still in there as well. Dangerously is Andreas Kloden.
Well, and this rider trying to still get back on terms. If he can just hang in here, he will get back on terms on the way down. But you know, if those riders can reach the Colombian rider, they could work their way to victory here, and that would be a terrific coup for both Contador and especially so for Cadel Evans.
Well, it's a big move, but it's a tall order to ride all of that distance right down towards the finish on your own. Rasmussen now seems to have recovered a fraction. He was probably taken aback by the accelerations there a few moments ago, looking over his shoulder, trying to figure out what do I do next. I've got no teammates left.
He's hurting.
Everybody, that's Valverde.
He's hurting, I think. He's made his moves, it didn't work, and he's been outnumbered here.
Well, moving forward again, this is Cauldron, the young rider from Saunier Duval. He's been a big revelation here this afternoon and of this season as well, as he moves up towards the front end of the race. He's thinking about his own man, Iban Mayo. Contador's not thinking about anything except he wants to get to the front of this race. Flick of the shoulders to Cadel Evans. Come on, mate, you want to win the Tour, you have to work for it. I'm not going to drag you to the summit of this climb.
Well, Contador doesn't speak any English. He speaks only Spanish. So goodness knows what he would say to Cadel Evans. But they are, I think Cadel was hit so hard there, he couldn't help him, Contador. And if he tries to work with Contador, he might find Contador will leave him. There is the lone leader, Juan Mauricio Sola Hernandez, the new star on the block from Colombia, came from the back of the race to take them all and shake them out and ride alone up the Col de Galibier. Thank you, the Col de Galibier. And this, a wild card team, and this man, his first Tour de France.
Phenomenal performance by this man. He's 2 minutes and 42 seconds ahead of the yellow jersey, but Contador has certainly got the legs this afternoon, and he's putting Cadel Evans in difficulty.
That's what
Cadel Evans cannot follow the pace of this young man. He tried to get him to work with him, and he saw that Evans didn't have the speed that he's got on these climbs and said, right, I'm off.
Well, Solar is the man up front. He has distanced Cadel Evans, who tried desperately to mark him. Everybody is saying, you know, especially the Spanish, that Contador can win this Tour de France. If you're English, the Australians are saying Evans can win the Tour de France. Well, I guess they both felt they could. That's why they went together.
Well, the big problem is this Tour de France is very difficult to predict. We're still looking at a long way to go to the finish line. We've still got the Pyrenees to go after we finish this Alpine stage today. But these guys have been absolutely slammed with these accelerations. Hats off, though, to the man in third position there, Alejandro Valverde. He rode like a true Trojan, trying to ride himself back into the group again. The rider here from AG2R is Francis Moreau, and he's really using all of his experience, I have to say, this afternoon.
Well, Gusev has been dispatched backwards from that leading group now, and that could be a stepping stone for Moreau to try and get up there. Look at the gap. There's Gusev, and he's been passed by Moreau now. So the young man on Discovery Channel is great there. He's riding into the headwind, which will make it that much harder. The same headwind which has cracked Cadel Evans, but he's still up front, although he's not riding now with Contador.
Well, Gusev will recover a fraction here. He's riding with a man who's got a lot of experience, and you know, Christophe Moreau has yet to crack on this climb. He's riding at his own tempo. Maybe he didn't get through the rest day quite as well as he thought he was going to. This is the man that everybody thought was going to win the Tour de France this year, Alexander Vinokourov. He went down in a very nasty crash on the stage to Auton, and he's still trying to get over. Let's not forget, don't take anything away from Alexander Vinokourov. He has stitches in both knees and in his elbow, but he's such a tough character. He will not give up this Tour de France, Phil, without a fight.
Well, ahead is the lone rider Solar. Behind him on his own too is Jaroslav Popovic. They've wiped out Gusev and the rest. And now Cadel Evans trying to reach them with Contador, but they've split up as well. These boys here are just hoping that they can limit the loss over the summit, and they will chase down. But there's a lot of team riders here of men who are ahead, and they will not help. Frank Schleck here could be a very lonely man in the pursuit back.
Well, he could. It's great to see Chris Horner. I don't think I've ever seen Chris Horner ride so well in the mountains of the Tour. I think inspired by the fact that he believes his teammate Cadel Evans has got a serious crack at winning the Tour de France this year, but Evans has just been cracked by a flying Alberto Contador. There is the lone leader there, and he is riding towards the summit of this climb. He's got 1 kilometer to go to the summit, Juan Mauricio Soler, and he's got 2 minutes and 50 seconds advantage over the group containing the yellow jersey. But the downside for that is, Phil, he's got a large group of riders who can chase him on the last 40 kilometers to the finish.
Well, he climbs like a spider, but he also climbs like an angel as he races up this climb here. He's not slowed down at all. There's nobody going to catch this boy by the top. And if he gets his way, he'll race all the way down to the finish. What a result that would be for Barlow, the South African squad. Here is now Popovic. He's been riding in second place and off our cameras, and he continues to climb well and score well in the King of the Mountains.
This is actually Contador, who's actually out of the saddle. Same coloured jersey, not quite the same pedalling style. He's a much thinner rider, and he's bobbing out of the saddle. This is a phenomenal performance, but you're right, Popovic is still in second place on the road. Contador has now climbed up into third place on the road, and Cadell Evans is in fourth.
Those four riders now totally split asunder. The rest of the favourites, with the exception of Vinokourov, is in that group. And Christophe Moreau, has got back.
Well, Christophe Moreau has done a phenomenal job. He's the oldest rider in this leading group, 36 years of age. So the French can now nurture hopes again that they may well still win the Tour de France 2007 with their national champion there, who's got onto the back of this group. The group now, though, Phil, has swelled in numbers, and once again, the only man seriously missing from this group of the pre-race favourites is Alexander Vinokourov.
10 riders in the pursuit of the others, and in fact now Valverde trying to pull himself back into action here. He's recovered from being hit. He's looking to see if he can see Cadell Evans up the road. They should pick him up on the way down. Fans getting a little out of control at the back there because there's not much in the split here. Leipheimer only followed today, handicapped by an attack. It was a definite plan by Team Discovery Channel today, and I just wonder whether the plan was for Leipheimer or Contador when Popovic went away on the Liseron and was quickly followed by Gusev, and then that they've made the best of the counter-attack.
Well, the dangerous move for the main contenders is the fact that once Alberto Contador catches Jaroslav Popovic, the two riders will then be able to work together with the possibility of opening up a serious advantage over the rest. Because it's amazing, if you're in a breakaway with a teammate, you can push yourself just that little bit further. I feel sorry for Alexander Vinokourov here. He's going through all kinds of hell to keep himself in with a chance of the Tour de France this year. But I'll tell you one thing, his popularity at home in Kazakhstan will be going right through the roof with this brave performance.
Well, Maxim Iglinski is just nursing him here, just keeping the tempo he can happen. He would love to close it back up to this group, as Popovic knows if he can just stay here, he should rejoin over the top. Here to the summit comes the man in charge now. Look at that crowd clapping all the way, and it's a Colombian rider in his first Tour de France who conquers the Col de Galibier. Juan Mauricio Solar is over the top. Now the long way home to Briançon.
And that's going to give him a nice 40 points. And now just check out this descent. This descent is going to take this rider down to the top of what is known as the Col du Loteret. If you take a right-hand turn, you go to Alpe d'Huez. But fortunately for these riders, they will take a left-hand turn here this afternoon and head down the valley towards Briançon. But look at these. This is almost a death-defying descent. This bobbing figure here is Alberto Contador. In front of him, he's got a teammate, Jaroslav Popovic, who is lying in second place on the road. We haven't got a camera to stay with Jaroslav Popovic, but we are keeping a very close eye on this man, Alberto Contador.
Well, Contador now confirming what he showed us on the road to team, and he had a flat tyre when in shooting distance of going with the leaders over the line. He even nearly caught back up to them and dropped everybody else, including the favourites in hot pursuit. Today he's been free to fly. He is a great discovery now as he continues to climb here. We think in third place. His teammate Popovic is somewhere in the crowd line. We'll probably see him very shortly go over the top of the climb.
Well, Popovic is caught in no man's land, but there he is, and he may well have realised what's happening in this bike race here this afternoon. He knows how good his teammate is. I'm pretty sure this was a preordained plan by Johan Brunel, and very shortly there will be two Discovery riders chasing the lone leader, Soler. But importantly enough, they will work together, Phil, to try and distance themselves from the riders in that group behind. We're going to have a monumental chase down the road from the summit of the Col de Galibier down into Briançon.
Shortly, they're coming together. Look at Popovic. He's looking back. This was a plan. He was expecting to see Contador coming up to him. He's waiting for him, and then there'll be a great pursuit. These two riders will descend like stones now, and if they can contact Juan Solar up front, they might not see these guys before the finish.
Well, this is a great team move here this afternoon. Johan Brunel has had it fairly easy winning the Tour de France on 7 occasions with Lance Armstrong, but he is a master tactician as well, and that's why this race was set up like this afternoon. Gusev and Popovic were sent up the road to lay the plans down for either Levi Leipheimer or Alberto Contador to go clear. Alberto Contador has seized this chance with his incredible acceleration on the Col du Galibier. Now these two men must get down the first couple of kilometers where it is a very dangerous descent. Once they've got down 2 or 3 kilometers, Phil, as Cadel Evans goes over the top there in 4th place, the road straightens up a fraction.
It is a very difficult descent, as Paul says. Now, they've got to be careful here, but they're desperate. They've got the time gaps. They want to hold them. Here comes Valverde, trailed by Cauldron and Leipheimer. Leipheimer's sitting there pretty now, 2 teammates ahead. He's got every excuse in the world just to follow and use no effort. Ivan Mayo is still in there, the maillot jaune of Rasmussen. The only man of note who is missing, really, is poor old Vinokourov. Look at the face now of the rider on the front, as it's Valverde who goes over in 5th place.
Well, there's going to be a little bit of a sorting out in the overall classification this afternoon, but these riders now have got a serious chase to catch up.
The great battle of the Col du Galibier, and it has gone the way of the American team so far, and of course the South African team of Solar. But there is a long way, 36 kilometers of hairy descending now before a 1 kilometer climb up to the finish. This race is far from over, and Vinokourov here is going to have to put in some descent today. We'll take a short break again.
People are always asking us why we insist on making the strongest frames in the industry. It's because on the roughest roads, you need the confidence that the Pro Tour's lightest frame is going to get you on the podium.
Visa PayWave. Now there are more places and more ways to pay. Faster. Life takes Visa.
Prepare yourself. The 3 Series is here. With elegant styling and a powerful yet fuel-efficient inline 6-cylinder engine. Stop in and take a test drive today.
Your life doesn't have one dimension. Neither should your beer. The rewarding taste of Michelob Ultra. Perfectly balanced and made for today. Live life to the ultra.
When you take it off, you're gonna like what you see.
Scotch Blue Painter's Tape. Goes on easy, comes off clean, leaving professional paint lines. Scotch Blue Painter's Tape.
I would definitely say that I'm looking for a deep relationship with somebody that can have a great time with me. I love a guy that can make me laugh. I'm a big giggler. Well, my sister went on eHarmony and she met a wonderful man named Eddie. My sister obviously had good luck on eHarmony, so she suggested I give it a try. So I am, and I'm actually looking for my Ed.
Find everything you're looking for at eHarmony.com. Log on today.
Welcome to a game where love means nothing and innovation is everything. Co-ed matches, coaches on the court, super tiebreakers, and superstars from around the world. World Team Tennis on Versus. The new champ of Wimbledon, Venus Williams, leads the Freedoms to wrangle Houston. Sunday at 11:30 on Versus.
The Tour de France, Stage 10, live tomorrow 8:30 a.m. on Versus. The real drama continues.
It's all happening on the final climb in the Alps at 15 kilometers a day. Jaroslav Popovic opens up the attacks for Discovery Channel on the Col de Liseron. Then 6 men got together as they joined Popovic in the lead. Then the breakaways built a lead of 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Reaction. Astoloza had enough of the break, went clear on the Col de Telegraph. Sola came from 6 over the Telegraph to catch everybody and leave them all behind. The pressure so great, Vinokourov was dropped by the main favourites. Sola went over the top of the Col de Galibier in solitary splendour. It may not be all the way solitary splendour for him, though. The situation, by the way, Alexander Vinokourov went over the top of the Galibier 4 minutes and 54 seconds behind the leader over the top, and 2 minutes 54 behind Popovic and Contador. Well, as we now start the long, long way down this mountain, hold on to your seats here because this is a long way down. These boys are up against it now. They're going to have to take risks, particularly the group containing Alexander Vinokourov.
They will have to take serious risks. It's 37.5 kilometers from the summit. It's 29 kilometers to the finish once they go through the summit of the Col de Lauteret. And still, Phil, it is pretty much downhill for the majority of this race. We will look at an average speed for this last 40 kilometers or so of pretty close to 55 kilometers an hour, I would expect. And here is Soler. He's at the top of the Col de Lauteret. He will take a left-hand turn now and slowly but surely, I hope, get himself around there nice and safely. These two riders working exceptionally well together have got around about a minute's advantage over the yellow jersey group.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Contador is hurting Popovic here. He's trying to even descend faster than his more experienced rival. Surely they're going to latch on to those two riders. They've gone over the top 2 minutes plus behind, 2 minutes 4. They're now behind by only a minute 45, so they are descending faster. And Cadel Evans, still on his own, went over about 40 seconds behind. And our computer's just got a question mark there, so he can't even time it at the moment.
Well, he's stuck in the middle of nowhere there. Sitting on the back there, the CSC rider is Carlos Sastre. Sastre is actually riding a very sensible race. David Arroyo is doing most of the work on the front of this group for his team leader, Alejandro Valverde. Moreau rode sensibly, used all of his experience of having been a professional for a long time to get back into the group. Michael Rasmussen there is nice and comfortable. All he's got to think about is making sure that nobody tries to slip away from him on the run into the finish. There is Levi Leipheimer.
Yeah, there he is, tucked in, the small man in this group. Everything going according to plan today. Team Discovery pulled a good card here. The racer watching Levi Leipheimer. They played their other strong men, Gusev, Contador, Popovic, all leading the charge now. Very clever plan. And as we watch here now, as the riders continue to go down, this rider just sitting off the back here for Team Discovery Channel.
Sergio Paolino.
Sergio Paolino. Now, where is he at the moment?
He's in the group there with Alexander Vinokourov. That group of Alexander Vinokourov is currently a minute and 40 seconds off the back of the yellow jersey group. So Vinokourov is going to have to make a daredevil descent if he wants to pull himself back into the Tour de France here this afternoon. This is Carlos Sastre just sitting on the back. You know what? Carlos Sastre has actually not made a wrong move since the start of this tour. He's never made massive efforts. He's always been there and thereabouts, and he's probably waiting for the Pyrenees because those are the mountains that he loves.
He loves the Pyrenees. He's not happy in the Alps. He's had to really suffer to make sure he hasn't given away time here. He's not been a very aggressive rider because he hasn't been able to be. But he hasn't lost time, and at this stage of the race for him, that's what it's all about. There's the 10 or 11 riders that made up the attacks on the way up. They're gradually getting a little bit stronger. Moreau's got into that group now. Still no further news, but it looks as though the two chasers, Contador, Popovic, they pull back another 5 seconds on Solar. They're now at a minute 40, but that guy up front is waiting for no one.
No, he's doing a phenomenal ride. He knows he's got to give everything. His big advantage is it's all downhill to the finish. He's got behind him the red cars of the race organization, just checking how fast this man is going. In one of those cars is the president of France, Nicolas Sarkozy, probably enjoying his day as visitors to the Tour de France here this afternoon. The referee's behind that, then the neutral service vehicle as well. But this man is plummeting down the roads towards Briançon.
Well, there's the beautiful sight of the fast descent here of the Galibier. It's a great mountain for fast descending. A big sweeping turn there out to the left. These are the principal favourites, with one favourite chasing at around about a minute and a half. Just waiting for final confirmation here. Cadel Evans, they can't find out where he is, but there's the 25 kilometers to go, and Contador and Popovic are closing in. They're now down to 1:36. They've pulled back 32 seconds since they crossed the top of the Col de Galibier. They may catch up with the leader. We'll take a break.
Special Agent, we have your next mission.
Thanks, boss, but my car's pretty dead right now.
When can you get back on the road?
Hey, I'll show you. When Esurance policyholders get their cars repaired at one of Esurance's certified body shops, they can monitor repairs online 24/7.
It's like watching your car come back to life.
I'll be back on the road in no time.
Make it your mission to save on hassle-free auto insurance. Visit Esurance.com today.
MMA can be extremely artful, it can be scientific, it can be a chess match, or it can be a brutal, quick knockout that nobody ever expected it.
Hopefully, Connie, you're still up for it. Baby, I'm coming. I'm coming after that bell.
Hey.
Ricky. The new Subaru Outback with road-gripping all-wheel drive, low emissions, and a price starting at just $21,995. So anyone hearing the call of the wild can answer.
Lease a new 2007 Subaru Outback for $0 down and only $249 a month at Flatiron Subaru in Boulder.
In the time it takes to watch this ad, you could be looking at new homes from Standard Pacific Homes using Comcast Video On Demand. It's new and it's easy. Just hit 888 on your Comcast cable remote. From the Comcast On Demand menu, select Real Estate and find Colorado's great new homes. Walk through Standard Pacific Homes' newest communities right now at Colorado Homes On Demand.
The equivalent of 155 hours of cardio or 263 double cheeseburgers.
If kids love to eat healthy, you wouldn't need the nutrients in Florida orange juice. One 8-ounce glass counts as almost 25% of your fruit and vegetable servings. Florida orange juice. Healthy, pure and simple.
People are smart. And when it comes to home loans, they don't like smoke and mirrors. Well, unless they're a magician or an illusionist, which is just a fancy word for magician. What they do like is getting what they're promised, like our Smart Rate. It's a 30-year fixed mortgage with a rate around 6 1/8%. To find out more, call us at 1-800-DITEC-1 and let us help you get the loan you need without being sawed in half. DITEC. People are smart.
Well, as we look at the Alps here, don't forget we are watching a great race today, but if you haven't seen any of it, then you can tonight, because we have our enhanced primetime show with Al and Bob. It comes to you at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll also have the time then to give you a little history lesson on the mighty Col de Galibier, which has been conquered today by a virtual unknown Colombian cyclist who is now flying to the finish in Briançon, and they're not pulling him back by much yet. As we look down now from the helicopter, searching as always for the lead rider. We're in the last 21 kilometers of the race now, and there he is. This is Cadel Evans. We found him at last. Cadel Evans is riding fourth on the road just now. And there he is. He hasn't got on. He went over the top, in fact, some 34 seconds behind the two chasers of Popovic and Contador, but he hasn't descended as quick as them. So Cadel Evans is in chase number 2. We've got one man out front, two chasers. Chase number 2 for Evans. Rasmussen is in chase 3, which is where most of them are. Menchov has fallen back a little bit. And of course, Vinokurov is in chase number 4. And that is not where he wants to be right now. Here we come. This will be 20 kilometers to go. It has taken him just 4 minutes to cover 5 kilometers. That's how quick this man is going down the mountain. He's now through 20 to go. Boy, this guy, we all hope he wins now, because it's so great to see a man ride like this in the mountains. And he doesn't just go uphill well, he goes downhill as well, as we can see now. Our Saab powered descent. This was Popovic on his way down the Col de Liggett today. He really flew down it. Then we moved on to the Galibier, and then they showed us how to descend this at full speed. And the man to finish it all off, I hope, will be this rider here, Juan Mauricio Soler Hernandez. That's how you go downhill. It is a tough, very quick descent. Maximum speeds today of probably 90 kilometers an hour. That's the Saab power descent for the day, and fast moving to say the least. That was a brief look there at the tandem of Team Discovery Channel. Here comes the leader, still being chased by them. They're closing in. Well, the Discovery tandem is closing in, Paul, but hardly by a fast amount. They're now 1 minute and 32 behind him. It took him 4 minutes to cover the last 5 kilometers, by the way.
Well, he will be averaging not far off 55 kilometers an hour on this run down to the finish. The Discovery riders here will bury themselves because they know this is a big advantage for them, and they won't have to hold anything back at all because they both come from the same team. Cadel Evans was officially given a deficit of 28 seconds on these riders, Phil, but I have a feeling he's now decided to sit up and wait for the yellow jersey group because he doesn't have the strength to get across to these two men on his own. 1 minute and 32 seconds as they went under the 20 kilometer to go banner, and around about a minute back to the yellow jersey group.
Right, well, at the moment they're not gaining now on the leader from Barlow World. They've had a poor 5 kilometers where the leader did 4 minutes for 5 kilometers. We're looking at the boys. They're splitting up a little bit here on this descent as they start to split. These are the 11 riders. They're still trying to stay clear of Alexander Vinokourov. It's a superb road for high-speed chasing this, and Evans, if he is waiting, I'm not sure, he might be making a mistake there, Paul, because I've got the feeling these boys might stay away.
Well, he's
here.
there. He has been picked up.
Caught, yeah.
He didn't want to waste his energy. He couldn't see himself pulling himself closer to the tandem there as we go under the banner. It's 2 minutes and 20 seconds to the yellow jersey group, so just inside of 1 minute between them and the two-man breakaway group, two-man tandem of Discovery Channel. But you can see that now Cadel Evans decided to sit up and wait. Probably in the long-term picture, probably a sensible move for Cadel Evans. He didn't want to waste all of that energy to try and peg himself back to Contador and Popovic.
Oh, Christophe Moreau at the back here, emptying all the water out as much as he can. He's struggled up the climbs, but he stayed in. Cadel Evans is off to the far right and looking over there. I thought for a moment Cadel was stopping, but a false alarm. I think he's looking for his team car now to sort out and find out what is going on here. 17 kilometers to go. These are the riders who are still trying to keep Vinokourov off their back wheel. He hasn't gone through 20 kilometers to go yet, so it's proving to be a possible time gain today over Alexander Vinokourov. 4:07 behind the Tête de la Course, the head of the race.
Saab was founded by 16 aircraft engineers. Their spirit lives on in the turbocharged 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi. With all the storage space you need, an estimated 30 miles per gallon, and a starting price under $29,000, you're closer to owning a jet than you think. Saab, born from jets. Log on to Versus.com/fly to the finish for your chance to win a 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi and a new Cervelo bike.
Whether it's applied to a home or a career, a solid foundation is essential. As new construction in the housing sector continues, there's a need for talented, skilled professionals who can manage the construction projects. Introducing the new construction management program at ITT Technical Institute School of Drafting and Design. This new program teaches skills to help students prepare to pursue a rewarding career in the construction industry. The program offers a foundation in construction management, construction techniques, and the legal issues relating to the construction management field through the study of subjects such as site construction and management, building codes, and construction documents and contracts. Working closely with contractors, engineers, and architects, construction managers monitor and coordinate various phases of the construction project. Start building your career on solid ground today. ITT Technical Institute School of Drafting and Design. Education for the future. To find out more, call 1-800-488-3116 or visit us on the web.
Welcome to a game where love means nothing and innovation is everything. Co-ed matches, coaches on the court, super tiebreakers, and superstars from around the world. World Team Tennis on Versus. The new champ of Wimbledon, Venus Williams, leads the Freedoms to Wrangell Houston, Sunday at 11:30 on Versus. While other kids were playing games, Jenny was building sandcastles. No one thought she'd ever live in one, except for Jenny. Go inside the world's most extreme homes. All new series, Mondays at 9 on HGTV.
Find exactly what you need at Searchlight 888. Press 888 on your Comcast digital remote and go exactly where you want without leaving your sofa. Go to Automotive to search for cars, trucks, and SUVs from Denver's hottest dealerships on Searchlight 888.
A reminder with built-in flashlight for only $9.99. Call now and we'll send you a second one absolutely free. You just pay shipping and handling. That's right, you get 2 My Lil Reminder digital voice recorders with built-in LED flashlights for only $9.99.
To order My Lil Reminder, call 1-800-850-0618. That's 1-800-850-0618. Don't wait, call now.
The Tour de France, Stage 10, live tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. on Versus. The real drama continues.
Welcome back, and he's still clear here, still hanging on to a lone lead on today's stage of the Tour de France. This is Juan Mauricio Sola Hernandez, a Colombian rider, second-year professional on a team that's never been in the Tour before, and neither has he. He's now blazing a lone trail at 14 kilometers to go down to the finish. This is how it happened. He came from absolutely nowhere and then jumped around the other boys and started to push on alone. He was 6 over the top of the Col de Telegraph. He's showing us now just what a strong rider he is. He'd done it earlier as well on the earlier climb of the Col du Telegraph and the Col de Liseron, where he was also active. He's had a wonderful day out today as Solar. He was 3rd over the top of the Col de Liseron. 8.5 miles to go, or 13.4 kilometers, Paul. They're under 15 kilometers from the finish, and they're not bringing him back. The Maillot Jaune group goes through at 2:06. They went through the previous one at 2:20. So in 5 kilometers, they pulled back only 14 seconds.
Well, the men doing the most of the pacemaking on the front now seem to be Case d'Epargne, the team of Alejandro Valverde. What's going on here? I really can't understand this move. Cadel Evans let a gap go there, and at this speed, you dare not let a gap go on the running down towards the finish line. And you can see how attentive Andreas Cauldron is there, because he's come straight to the front. I don't think Cauldron is hurting at all anymore in this bike race, Phil, because he is nailing back the gap.
I think you're absolutely right. He is now the strong man, and today they may have to switch allegiance in Astana team and say Vinokurov is not the man. It's going to be Andreas Cauldron, and he might rue the day he paced Cauldron and dropped from the leaders going into team. But that's split, and it's Evans who opened it, and Evans is being left to close it, and that's another mistake. If these boys want to go down with that front group, they've got to close it now. And look, there's nobody willing to chase it shut because they've got teammates up there, and Moreau is trying to make the most of anybody else's moves. Well, he needs to do it himself.
I have to say that is a pretty amateurish move by these guys. These are serious top-end professional bike riders. You don't let a gap go like that on a charge down to the finish line in a town like Briançon, because it is so difficult to pull it back. And they're all, again, as we've seen on a number of occasions, a little bit scared to make the move themselves, because they don't know how the other guys are going to react. And now it's all the way up to Evans to chase it back.
And Moreau won't help, but he's got no reason to sit and watch there. Now it looks like Cauldron has said, I've got a hand out here. Even though he's damaging the possible deficit of his team captain, they're allowing the yellow jersey to go away.
Well, this is a very strange move. This is the group now of Alexander Vinokurov and Denis Menchov sitting on the back of that group. Another man who was regarded as a pre-race favourite. He worked very hard, though, this afternoon for Michael Rasmussen, who now is going to have to be the #1 leader for Team Rabobank. So it's 1 minute and 10 seconds, the distance between the lone leader and the 2 chasers, and Alexander Vinokurov is at 3 minutes and 58 seconds. He's still actually losing time.
Yeah, well, he's picking up time on the leaders because he was at 4:30 5 kilometers ago, so they are coming back on the chase. Somebody has really got the hammer down in the Vinokurov group, and they've allowed this split to happen here. They've caught out Sastre as well as Moreau, who's gone to the back to keep out of trouble. Evans needs a rest. He's been attacking all of the time, and they put Sastre on the front. It looks as though they might be closing in. just?
Well, what they need to do is just forget about all the rivalry and actually work together as a solid group. The first mistake there made by Carlos Sastre, I think since the start of the Tour, is to let him move like that, just slide off the front. Somebody let the gap go, the door was open, then all of a sudden you've got David Arroyo on the front riding like a man possessed. Michael Rasmussen is there, Kim Kirken is there. You can see this is a serious move now that those riders should really have been very attentive about.
Oh, and the big rider in orange, Astelos, is having the ride of his life today as well. He's been leading as well as in the chase group. They've allowed a dangerous split to open. Remember, they're wasting a lot of energy here now. Once we go into Briançon, we turn left and we have to climb what is a really nasty little climb up to the finish, and they'll lose time on that if they're not careful. Just sitting at the back here is Iban Mayo, but he's in the wrong group. As Kirken tries to get across, Astelosa looks who's coming. Huge effort required. I'm just wondering if Astelosa wonder where everybody else has gone in this group.
Well, that's probably why he missed the back wheel there, and when he saw Kim Kirken coming by, and he's had to make a seriously big effort just to stay in contact with this group. Michael Rasmussen has seen he's got a big opportunity here this afternoon because he knows his time trialing ability is a little bit suspect, and any opportunity to gain time over everybody else is a good opportunity.
Well, this isn't working out too bad today for Michael Rasmussen. He's split away into this front group of 5 riders. We still don't forget we have 3 men up front apart. We had the Discovery Channel tandem trying to nail back the long, lanky Colombian rider who shocked everybody today. He is still on his own.
Well, Levi Leipheimer putting his hand up here saying, come on, you guys, and let's get ourselves organized. Let's work together. But Levi's not going to work himself as we go at 10 Ks to go.
10 kilometers to go. This man is still holding a lead, and it's to the last kilometer is uphill, 9 more down. These roundabouts are on the outskirts of Briançon here, and so Sola Hernandez is still holding his own. We'll get another time check of that 10-kilometer banner against Contador and Popovic. The last one we have, though, is 63 seconds. It is going to be desperately close, but what a result this would be for Barlow. And the yellow jersey group remains split here, with the other favourites somehow, unbelievably, allowing this gap to happen on the downhill.
Well, this is a pretty crazy move here. Andreas Kloden, I think, a little bit frustrated. And now Levi Leipheimer thinks, well, you know, we've messed this up now. Let's get ourselves organized. You see him indicating there the wind is coming from the right-hand side. So come on, let's get 2 lines. Let's make sure that we don't lose too much time on Michael Rasmussen, because he knows if you mess around in the last 10 kilometers, that clock is going to read 2 minutes at the finish line.
They've gone under just on 1 minute, 59 seconds. They're closing. Are they closing quick enough? They had 2 minutes and 4 seconds on the top of the Galibier, and they're now in the last 10 kilometers. They might yet complete a perfect day for Team Discovery Channel, who had a plan, and so far it couldn't have possibly have worked out any better.
Well, it was a good move. They've put a lot of riders into serious difficulty. 1 minute and 17 seconds is the time back to the yellow jersey group, and around about 1 minute and 30 seconds back to the second half of the yellow jersey group. And they're all saying, what do we do? This is a young kid, Kobo, a big revelation this year, won himself the Tour of the Pays Basque. On the front is Iban Mayo, and they're panicking, Phil. They have no idea how to put this race back to rights. I can tell them it's very easy. Just go to the front and share the pacemaking. That way you'll do it.
They're too confused now because they don't trust each other. There are riders there who don't want to chase. There are others who are compromised, like Levi Leipheimer with 2 riders up the road. This man is going for it, and he's never looked over his shoulder, Solar. He is absolutely brilliant today. I can't imagine what his team manager, Claudio Corti, a former world amateur champion, is doing now as he watches this man head in towards the finish. 8 kilometers to go. Contador and Popovic, and it's Popovic who's the driving of the train now. He's the time trialer. This boy's the climber.
Well, this boy has just put the earpiece back into his ear. He wants to figure out what's going on in the race now. I'm not quite sure what Jaroslav Popovic will have said there, but he has got the big power on the flatlands. Look at the acceleration now coming from Kim Kirken. That's putting now the 2 riders from Case d'Epargne on the defensive, and Michael Rasmussen, yellow jersey on his shoulders, riding himself back into this race. The red number on his back, by the way, was for the most aggressive rider of 2 days ago. I think that was quite a good choice, Phil.
Well, these boys, we've never seen so many riders in the Tour de France for years be at the top end of their ability. They can't go much faster, and they're all pretty much equal here as they now try to pull everybody back into the race. Here's Vinokourov's boys as they are now heading for the banner, which will give them 10 to go. They are coming back, you know, but the gap is closing ever so slowly. They were 3:58 at 15. At 10, they are going to be 3:21. Inch by inch, they're pulling themselves back into this race.
Well, it's a big battle now for Alexander Vinokourov. He's thinking about this all of the time. There's confirmation of the gaps at that 10-kilometer to go sign. But there's a massive chase at the front by the group of the yellow jersey to try and distance himself over not only Alexander Vinokourov, but everybody else in this bike race. There's Andrei Kushekin. You won't get any help, boys, I have to tell you, for a Case d'Epargne, because they are trying to do something special this afternoon. They've got their man in front. And this is why it's great to be in a strong team. This man at the back, Levi Leipheimer, could just sit there on the tail of this group and say, sorry, gentlemen, but I've got two men in front.
And he's sitting there. It's a shame he missed the split, though. It's only seconds at the moment, but it could be costly. Cadel Evans, who fell back and waited for these guys, somehow let the door open because he'd been under so much pressure. They made the mistake of not closing it quickly, and now they're spending the rest of the day trying to race up to these guys, and they may not see them till the showers.
Well, Valverde is giving everything. He's not too worried at all about this. He's happy because he's got his teammate in the group, Jose Ivan Gutierrez. And remember, Gutierrez was one of the riders who went into the early move of the day. Right in front of them now, the two riders from Discovery, and it's Michael Rasmussen in person, the yellow jersey, is going to nail back the gap.
Well, look at this. Their yellow jersey is bringing back the Discovery tandem, and they're only about 55 seconds behind the star of the day. This is real gritty Tour de France cycling at its very, very best. Now, it might help if they catch those two. There might be a slowing, and the others could come back.
And that will be the time when Levi Leipheimer will be able to take advantage of this whole situation, because he's just sitting in that group behind, nice and comfortably, not contributing anything at all to the pacemaking. But those two riders from Discovery Channel, Phil, have yet to sit up. Jose Ivan Gutierrez is working his heart out for Alejandro Valverde. Michael Rasmussen, I think, this afternoon is making a very nice operation, putting time between himself and everybody else.
Well, Popovic is the driving force. Contador hasn't been able to help since he come off the mountains, but Valverde is driving these others back into this race. He's got to, because he can't give them any leeway here. He's got to save seconds. The way this Tour is running right now, it might be won in Paris by seconds. Here they come now in the second group here of Cadel Evans. If they catch up with the two front runners, they might slow enough to let this group on. But Paul, we're not, he called you Phil then, we're not far from the climb, which is only a kilometre, but that could open up seconds.
That climb, the final climb up to the finish line, is 1.5 kilometres. The two riders now from Discovery Channel, Popovic on the left, Contador on the right, and now back in the group, the yellow jersey group. They're looking over their shoulders and say, oops, where is Levi Leipheimer? They need to accelerate to get back onto this group, but the group behind contains their own teammate, Levi Leipheimer, Christophe Moreau, and a lot of the other major favourites.
Now, the yellow jersey needs to get to the front. He's reduced his enemies here. It's time to move on. They've all come together at 5 kilometres to go. This is the leader, though, and the clock starts now. How much has he got now? He's still got a lot of guts, this rider. He's out of the saddle again. This will be the biggest moment of his life, not just for him, for Colombia and for his team, who've never been in the Tour de France.
Well, he's got to battle now. The only thing he's got to battle is himself, the inner energy that he can muster to keep himself going on the final downhill into the outskirts of Briançon. And I hope, Phil, he's read the road book tonight, because the road book explains exactly how the run-in is over the last 5 kilometres. You drop down over the last 5 kilometres for 3.5, then all of a sudden you take a nasty left-hand bend, and the climb up to the finish line is going to be very difficult indeed, almost as tough for some of these guys as the Galibier itself.
You may have seen the fort on the hillside. Well, we are commentating at the gates to that fort. They have to climb up to it to finish today. Now they're coming back together here, they're reorganizing. This might favor the leader, because They were racing each other to split up the time gaps. The leader, they're not quite so excited about because they wouldn't see him as a likely winner of the Tour. So it may help in the fact they've caught each other.
It will be a major help for him because he's still holding on to a minute of his advantage. Now slipping away from this group is this young man, Juan Jose Cobo, the winner of the Pays Basque race in the early part of this season. He was a major revelation, but I think he was trying to help in this group to get Iban Mayo back into the fold.
Well, the leader lost only 1 second in the last 5 kilometers of his lead. These riders here are now coming up, and that's what we thought would happen. Once they caught the Discovery duo, they've eased up, and now Leipheimer is going to come back into the action as well.
Well, this would be a nice move for Levi Leipheimer to try and get himself away on this final climb up to the finish line here in Briançon, because he's been sitting there locked at the back of the group. He's been in a defensive role because of his 2 teammates in front, but Cauldron is the man who's finally nailing them back. There's Carlos Sastre behind him, followed by the French champion, followed by Cadel Evans, and just holding on there. Iban Mayo must be wondering, what has happened to me today, because I was better than everybody 2 days ago.
3 kilometers to go. That one man will not know what's happened, but all of the favorites, except Vinokourov, of course, are back together. That's 4 kilometers to go.
4 kilometers to go now, but it's 3 kilometers to go for the leader. These riders at these speeds are separated by approximately 1 kilometer.
Should be enough.
De la course. Juan Mauricio Soler Hernandez is in the outskirts of Briançon. Phil, he's got 1.5 kilometers downhill. Then he will turn to the left and start to climb up to the finish line right outside the Citadel.
Well, there's going to be a lot of people lining up to want to sign this boy onto another team after this ride. They'll have to fight to keep him on Bolo World. He has been an absolute star here. When you're given a chance at a wild card to ride the Tour de France and you win a stage, then you really have lived up to a great reputation. The boys behind are going to explode when they get to the final kilometer. They're at 3 to go.
Jose Ivan Gutierrez is on the front, setting the pace for his man Alejandro Valverde, but Jaroslav Popovic is still very keen to keep the pressure nice and high. They can see they've got themselves a big advantage. I think they've left it too late, but they're banking on the fact, and that's why they're keeping the pressure on here, that Soler in front has a hard time when he hits that steep climb up to the finish. They will not give up.
The Baker's dozen, 13 riders chasing one man. They've made little impression on him in the last 5 kilometers. They've all come back together. Again, Moreau stays in this race for France, tagged on to the back. These are desperate moments. We're into Briançon. It is dangerous now. These corners dive and duck, and they switch back. They descend very steeply, and then it's a horrible sight when they come round the corner. The road just goes up to the heavens, to the finishing line. 2 kilometers to go for the chasers.
Well,
he's
it's
looking for
coming
one.
down. It's 50 seconds, 48 seconds, and he's now inside the streets of Briançon. But that wall you were talking about, Phil, when you see it in front of you, when you've led the race, that's it.
This is it. Wait for it. He sees the kilometer. He sees the wall. They can't take it away from him now. Surely he's got to find those climbing legs just one more time.
Well, they're stopping the cars behind the lone leader now, Phil. They're emptying the gap, so nobody is in there at all. I want to will this man on. I want him to win the race this afternoon. There's the French president witnessing a magical battle here in the Alps this afternoon. But this is the big move now.
This is Jaroslav Popovic has gone again.
Popovic is trying to set something up for his man Alberto Contador, and slipping backwards. There is Gutierrez. He'd done the work for Alejandro Valverde. Leipheimer is in a little bit of difficulty at the back here with the acceleration of his own teammates.
Well, they've got to get rid of all those motorbikes out of that gap now. They've got to give the kid a chance up front. Cadel Evans is making his throw for the finish. They're racing the leader. They're racing themselves because they know on this climb they can open a gap of 10 or 15 seconds on one another. As now Moreau again continues to struggle. Sastre's finished. This man is climbing to victory. He's got his rhythm again.
He's got his rhythm. He's just got to keep it going. It doesn't matter if he wins by a second or 2 seconds. That's not important for him. The important thing is to win for Colombia and to win for Team Barlow World. A little look over his shoulder. He knows how quickly they'll come back at him, but he's still got good climbing legs. He's still got those legs ticking over. We can't yet see the shadow of the group behind him. And surely, Phil, shortly, this man is going to smile. Surely he's going to get the win inside of the final kilometer. Evans now is seriously looking, and Rasmussen has taken over the pacemaking up the front.
Rasmussen, the yellow jerseys, come through a day today. A few shocks, but still a very solid leader of the Tour. It looks as though Moreau might concede a couple of seconds by the finish. Evans is moving up on the shoulder of Rasmussen. This is going to be a very, very sharp finish today. We can't see the man in red. He must be very, very close to the finishing line now.
This is how difficult this final kilometre is, and there he is still in the lead. He's got a big advantage. He's 500 metres to go.
That's
they will
enough.
not catch him anymore, because once he's round this corner, he'll see the banner. There it is, just around the corner. Push this man home, because he's made an incredible move on the slopes of the Col de Galibier, and I think he's heard us, Phil, because he's finding a little bit more energy. He's pushing himself now. The pain is slowly starting to disappear from his thighs.
This is a rare Colombian victory. It is a definite first victory for Barlow World in their first Tour de France. It's a South African team. They've got a lot of foreign riders on it. But now this man who flew around everybody, having been 6th over the top of the Telegraph, wiped them out on the Galibier and somehow held them all off on what has been a tremendous race from the top of the Galibier to the top of this little climb in Briançon. There's time soon to zip up the jersey and salute the crowd. They won't stop him now. He has got the win. I can't think of his name. Juan Mauricio Sola Hernandez has won the stage.
Well, he's won the stage, but these men are fighting out for a few time bonuses. You can see on the front there, that is Cadel Evans. They're putting time between themselves and Christophe Moreau, who battled his way back into the race on the slopes of the Col de Galibier. But Alejandro Valverde is coming up for the second place. A few more time bonuses for him. This man is insatiable when it comes to getting places. He's going to get himself a 12-second time bonus on the line, maybe a bit more, because there are gaps appearing with his acceleration, while Cadel Evans is just hanging on.
There should be time gaps here as he comes up to the line. He's coming in around 38 seconds. Cadel Evans on his back wheel, little gap to Contador. And then comes Mayo, followed by the yellow jersey. And Moreau here has lost about 40 seconds overall on the day. And Vinokourov, well, the clock will start now, but could well have seen the elimination of Alexander Vinokourov today as a winner of the Tour de France.
Check out this young rider coming up now as well, because this is a young guy by the name of Cobo, winner this year of the Pays Basque race early on in the season. He lost the lead, he fought to get it back again. He is also a new star for the future, but he today was working for Iban Mayo. And excuse me, Phil, but will you have a look at the average speed there? We've been over two big mountains at almost 39 kilometers an hour. Big congratulations for Jaroslav Popovic. He set it up for the team. He did the job for the team this afternoon, and that shows job
This
done.
guy's smiling. This guy's smiling. It's a day that they dreamt of. It's worked so well for them. When we get to see the overall classification night, it'll be good. Here comes Kashikin at the head of the field here. Chris Horner's in this group as well. And Alexander Vinokourov is somewhere in there, but I can't see him at the moment.
In the white helmet, just a little bit back there, 4th position with the yellow sunglasses on. That is Alexander Vinokourov. Oscar Pereiro is in this group as well. Vladimir Karpet, still a lot of big names are trying to keep themselves in contact in the Tour de France this afternoon. I take my hat off to Chris Horner, because he is riding his best ever Tour de France, and the reason for that is inspired by the performance of the man in front, Cadel Evans.
But take a look at the clock here. Despite all the infighting we have seen, the splitting and the bridging of the chase groups, they still continue to gain all the way from the Galibier, but they couldn't repair the damage. The last check we got, they were 3 minutes and 18. They're now swinging up to the finish. They've probably picked up another 20 seconds since that time check. So he's tried desperately to limit his losses. It is still a huge, huge loss. About 40 seconds to the winner, don't forget, to the yellow jersey group. So he's losing today about 3 minutes. That does not all well, although we still have the time trials and the Pyrenees to come.
But I think they will have to sit back now, Phil, and regard Andreas Cloden as the big leader for their team, because Cloden today, for me, never really looked under any difficulty at all. There's Christian van der Velde in this group as well. He's had a pretty impressive ride through the mountains, and of course Frank Schleck is in the group as well. But the American rider van der Velde, he's going to be a serious ally for Carlos Sastre when we go down to the Pyrenees. And let's not forget, we still have another mountain range to go over.
Well, as they race up towards the line, it's the clock which tells all of the story. Horner's even having a go to finish it off. 3:24, I think it would be, as they came over the line there. So, in the end, they didn't close it in the last 10 kilometres. They lost a handful of seconds.
Well, they lost a handful of seconds, and that was the place that they climbed up to there. The citadel, just above the city of Briançon, is where we have finished, and what a battle.
Well, it's been a terrific battle. There's the fort we saw moments ago down in the valley. Now all the riders are right over the top there. And that is going to see quite a few changes in the overall. There'll be no change in the leader, of course, but the overall will be reshuffled. What a day today for this rider here. Remember his name, as I will try to, Juan Mauricio Sola Hernandez. We'll take a break, come back for the podiums and the shake-up.
Hi, my name is Femi Cancellara, and I told you a little bit something about the R3 bike. I was so happy to have it last year on the race, and it was the first time I had a bike like this. A lot of people, they say it's the best frame in the world. And
who wants to be stranded with a flat tire?
Love having you here.
Okay, class. If you're in the South, you say, "Hey, feller, give me a
who play it with disregard. Tiger Woods defends his title in the land where golf began. Open Championship Week on the Golf Channel. All this week, presented by Nike Golf.
MMA can be extremely...
I train for pain. I train hard. I'm up in the morning early to get to the gym. I'm the first one in, usually the last one out. I train like this is a warfare. You know, like I don't plan on coming back.
I refuse to lose, you know. When I step in there, you gotta kill me.
I just keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. I'm trying to finish you.
I might go out there and I'm trying to hit you with everything I have and just keep going.
You inflicted damage on me, I'm gonna give it back to you tenfold. I'm gonna make you wish you never even hit me.
It's not fun and games in there, it's intense, and fear is not an option.
It's just an attitude of just go, 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 until you can't go anymore.
It's just getting in my head and flipping that switch. And once I flip that switch, it's showtime.
Welcome back. We're looking at the Alps here now. The last we'll see of them on this year's Tour de France. But what a battle we have seen today. That long descent, instead of neutralising the situation, made it one of the best races we've seen since this tour began. And what a superb ride by the rider who won, Solo Hernandez. He gets away on top of the Col de Glibier and he holds them off to the fend. It was a fabulous performance, Paul.
It was a phenomenal performance, and I think what was important was the fact there was a huge battle behind as well, because now finally some of the big contenders to win this bike race actually came out to try and do damage to each other. And all it's done is really reduce the number of pre-race favourites to 10.
That's right. I think we'll find Valverde's up to second overall, and Contador might be the new white jersey. We'll find out all that as we go along. But here's the win. There was a moment I thought they were going to take him as we got towards the last kilometre, but he just put on those climbing legs again and he rode away from them, and it was a very, very nice result. Let's have a look then at the stage result. Mauricio Sola wins. Alejandro Valverde a fighting second by this man who looked to be struggling and isn't. Cadel Evans came third in the end as well. Contador is fourth, new white leader there. Iban Mayo is fifth. He's supposed to have won today. Sixth was Michael Rasmussen, and seventh Levi Leipheimer, 42 seconds back. Other time gaps opening. Andreas Kloden 46, but he got in the move. He'll be the new leader of Astana now for sure. Looking further down, the best Frenchman is Moreau. He yo-yoed a bit today. Astaloza hung on in there from that original break to take 12th. Popovic came home smiling at a minute 32, and Gutierrez in that first break as well. 15th for him.
I think Team Discovery Channel had a great day out. Last year's runner-up Oscar Pereiro in 16th place there. Chris Horner, great ride for him. I think he's having a brilliant Tour de France this year in 17th. And just a little bit further down, 20th place for Alexander Vinokourov. But look at the time gap, 3 minutes and 24 seconds lost.
All right, well, Christian van der Velde also having a great tour, 25th today at 3:24. I think he might do well. We're still hunting down Levi Leipheimer and the actual overall result. So we'll take a quick break. We should have all of the answers when you come back.
Want to see something cool? Motel6.com is the easiest place to book a great room online. See, when you start in the right spot, everything else just kind of falls into place. We'll leave the light on for you.
Sono Paolo Bettini, sono campione del mondo e campione olimpico. Chiedo il massimo dalla mia bicicletta. Voglio che sia ripida, leggera, bella e precisa, ma più di tutto che sia veloce. Questa è la mia bicicletta. I am Specialized.
Introducing Accelerate with protein. Proven to increase endurance up to 29% over your old sports drink. So while others fade, you can stay strong. Don't fade. Accelerate.
They're crossing the country, dropping in on the biggest names in the business, searching for the next mixed martial arts badass. All new episodes of the original series from the producer of American Chopper and The Ultimate Fighter.
Where you live, baby?
Tap Out. Wednesdays beginning August 1st on Versus.
Look, honey. Rock Bottom's Backyard Barbecue, and they're tapping that beer you love. American Dream Ale. Hey. You're doing it again.
It's Rock Bottom's Backyard Barbecue, featuring American Dream Ale. Build your own ultimate backyard burger. The crisp, delicious Waldorf Wedge. Our juicy 20-ounce T-bone, plus choose your favorite picnic side. Grilled food and chilled beers. Now that's a barbecue.
À Paris, quand un amour fleurit, ça fait pendant des semaines, le cœur qui se sourit, tout ça part sur une scène. À Paris, au printemps, sur les toiles, les girouettes tombent et font les coquettes. Avec le premier vent, tu passes indifférent, nonchalant, car le vent.
Down. I got really scared, so I just lay down on the ground, lift my arm up. That was a scary moment.
Prices they got in here. $8 candy bar, $11 for a can of tuna. Now, it's prices like these that's keeping folks from living the high life. Sir, where's your beer section? Thank you. A good, honest beer at a tasty price. That's what we stand for. Clean up on aisle common sense. Hey, let me grab this. That's how we do it. Get in and out, boy. You just lost your right to sell Miller High Life is what you did.
Both Blockbuster Total Access and Netflix let you order movies online and receive and return them by mail. But Blockbuster also has stores, so you can get a new movie right away, just in case you don't want to wait. Yay! Get a free trial at your Blockbuster store or Blockbuster.com.
People are smart. They know some things go together, like our Real Life plan. It's a low 6 1/8% fixed-rate mortgage, a home equity loan, plus a credit card that helps pay down your loan. To learn more, call 1-800-DITEC-1. DITEC. People are smart.
Welcome back to the Tour de France. We've seen an unknown rider win today in Juan Mauricio Sola Hernandez from Colombia for the wildcard team Barlow World, but all of the favourites really hit out at each other, and as a result there will be some changes in the overall situation. Let's have a look down here as the President of France here, Nicolas Sarkozy, goes down there to congratulate the winner now. Shakes hands first with Bernard Hinault. Breaking of protocol here. No, not at all. No, as Hernandez smiles for the crowd here. His first career Tour de France stage win. It's just about his first ever win. He did win the overall in the Tour of the Lorraine, I think.
Well, now we get a chance to meet the President of France. I think Sarkozy didn't want to climb up onto the top step of the podium then to respect protocol, congratulating the Colombian winner here this afternoon. And what a win for Colombia and Team Barlow World. Bernard Hinault bringing the rider over to be congratulated by everybody else this afternoon. But what a win by that young man, Phil.
Yeah, I think the President there didn't want to distract from the moment of the day. Let's have a look at the stage results. There they are. Sola, Valverde, the big danger now, comes in second. Evans right behind him. Contador, the new man who can fly in the mountains. And looking further down here, Rasmussen just behind in 6th place. If we look at the results, though, I can hear now that Robbie Ventura has managed to find Levi Leipheimer.
Discovery looked to have a great plan out there, Levi. I mean, did it work to perfection, or was that the plan at the beginning of the day?
Well, certainly for Papa and Gusev to go in the break was the plan. Alberto's phenomenal. He hit the gas on the Galibier, and nobody even thought about going with him. Well, I guess Cadell did, but he couldn't stay with him, and it's pretty amazing what he's got in his legs. And unfortunately, you know, it's a long ways from the top of the Galibier into Briançon, and it was nice for me because I didn't have to work, but in fact there wasn't much cooperation in the group, and it ended up splitting. And
you looked frustrated with the Saunier Duval guys. What were they thinking out there?
I don't know, man. I mean, Kobo wouldn't help. I mean, in my opinion, he should be burying himself for Mayo, and he kept saying, "Oh, I can't do it," and I'm like,
"Who's the biggest?"
You're a professional, man. Come on.
Who's the biggest threat, plain and simple, out there for GC?
Man, I don't know. You see every day it can flip-flop. You know, Moreau had problems today. I don't know where Vino is, but I'm sure he lost a lot of time. Moreau had problems. Menshov had problems. Even at one point, Rasmussen, you know, he cracked a little bit, and vice versa. I didn't feel all that great, but I seemed to be one of the better guys on the climb, so that was good.
Thank you, Levi. Thank you so much.
Yes, well, I'll tell you what, Paul, just who is the favourite now from what we've seen of this race?
Well, I'm very glad that a bike rider in the race who's looking at it a lot closer than we are doesn't know who the favourites are for the race, because I say the only thing that today did for us, Phil, was gave us 9 names now. We've reduced it to 9 names, but that's still quite amazing at this stage.
It was a great race for us. Anyway, let's have a look how it stands tonight here with our Michelob Ultra overall standings. Rasmussen loses a bit of his overall advantage, down to 2:35 there over the favourites. Valverde now slots in second. Mayo is in third. Cadell Evans now up to fourth. And Alberto Contador, the new white jersey, 3:08.
Well, looking a little bit further down, Christophe Moreau lost himself a bit of time, but he's still best Frenchman in 6th place, 3:18 behind. Carlos Sastre hasn't really made a mistake or a move yet. He's in 7th. The big danger man to climb up higher, the great time trialist Andreas Kloden, and Levi Leipheimer now peeping inside the top 10 in 9th place, 3:53 behind.
A little bit further down there, Frank Schleck in 12th. And this Mauricio Sola, by the way, up to 14th overall now to that great ride, 6 minutes 29. Those gaps don't look big anymore. Alexander Vinokurov, I haven't seen him go by yet. We should be getting close to him now, though. The top 20 here, completed by Valjevic at 7:45. And so I'm not sure we can show you any more at the moment. Let's go down because he's come out. Michael Rasmussen has stepped onto the podium here, waves to the crowd. Another day in the Maillot Jaune for him tomorrow. And the president to the right applauding. A good man today. He was under pressure the whole day.
He was under pressure. The team was under pressure. They were assassinated in the valley of the Maurienne, and they disappeared one by one on the slopes of the Col du Galibier. And even the pre-race favourite teammate, Denis Menchov, also cracked towards the summit, leaving our man in the yellow jersey to defend on his own, which over the last 20 kilometres, Phil, I thought he did an excellent job.
Couldn't agree more as he steps off to shake hands, starting with the President of France, Nicolas Sarkozy. Well, we'll take another break and then we'll come back. We'll evaluate the whole day of racing. The last one, remember, in the Alps for the Tour de France. And what a great day it was. This is a great race.
At the wind tunnel, you usually see finished products and marketing types. At Cervelo, we take engineers and prototypes. Building a better bike is what Cervelo is all about.
Saab was founded by 16 aircraft engineers. Their spirit lives on in the turbocharged 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi. With all the storage space you need, an estimated 30 miles per gallon, and a starting price under $29,000, you're closer to owning a jet than you think. Saab, born from jets. Log on to Versus.com/fly to the finish for your chance to win a 2007 Saab 9.3 Sport Combi and a new Cervelo bike.
At Ruby Tuesday, great meals are a matter of course. First course, picked fresh. Second course, grilled to perfection. Third course, sweet moments with friends. Starting at $9.99. Petite sirloin, chicken fresco, Ruby Tuesday.
When you take it off, you're gonna like what you see.
Scotch Blue Painter's Tapes.
Yeah, when you take it off, you're gonna like what you see.
Goes on easy, comes off clean, leaving professional paint lines.
Looking good, you got to agree.
Scotch Blue Painter's Tapes for delicate or multi-surfaces.
Go on, take it off.
The Tour de France, Stage 10, live tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. on Versus. The real drama continues.
While other kids were playing games, Jenny was building sandcastles. No one thought she'd ever live in one, except for Jenny. Go inside the world's most extreme homes. All new series. Mondays at 9 on HGTV.
Find exactly what you need at Searchlight 888. Press 888 on your Comcast digital remote and go exactly where you want without leaving your sofa. Go to Automotive to search for cars, trucks, and SUVs from Denver's hottest dealerships on Searchlight 888.
Co-ed matches, coaches on the court, super tiebreakers, and superstars from around the world. World Team Tennis on Versus. The new champ of Wimbledon, Venus Williams, leads the Freedoms to Wrangell Houston. Sunday at 11:30 on Versus.
Yes, well, we're looking down here at the fort, which is where the Tour of Italy finished earlier this year. Same finishing line. And now, of course, the Tour de France has arrived here in Briançon with a Colombian taking out the stage and the Spanish favourite Valverde moving into second place overall. And he's closed in right up behind now the yellow jersey of Michael Rasmussen. Paul, this has been an amazing race, but again, a 24-year-old first time that wins the stage. He's second in the white jersey. The youngsters are coming through.
Yeah, a lot of youngsters coming through. We said before the start of the tour that there was a record number of young riders participating. But what I enjoyed today was the battle that was relived on the slopes of the Col de Galibier with Alejandro Valverde, reputedly a sprinter, but today battling it out to try and put time between himself and everybody else. And, of course, you have to look at the way teams are working together. Team Discovery Channel today went out, and their plan worked to perfection. But there's still a lot more tactics to unfold in this tour, Phil, because we've got a big time trial coming up in a few days' time, and then we've got a big race through the Pyrenees. And I don't think, I'm going to be honest about this, I still don't know who's going to win.
I don't think anybody does. If you were here moments ago, you heard Levi Leipheimer. If he doesn't know, and he's riding in the breakaway and shouting at other riders, who is going to win this race? And it's a big question mark. But what we did see today was that Cadel Evans, who has been daily harangued in the press for not working, not attacking, he tried very hard today to gain time. It didn't work out, but he did cross the line in third place, a very tired man, and he's now up into fourth place overall. Let's have a look back how the day went. It was a terrific day. Rollout time, they're all frightened to death here because they started right on the slopes of the giant of the Tour at 2,770 metres, the Col de Liggett. Consequently, they didn't want to start too quickly.
Well, jumping out of the pack early on, AG2R decided this was going to be a big day for them. They wanted to make it very difficult so they could set something up for their man, Christophe Moreau. However, Team Discovery Channel must have been to the same team meeting because immediately that move went clear. Jaroslav Popovic came up to Jose Luis Arrieta and straight by him and said, I'm going to go over the top of this Col d'Isère on my own.
And he did just that too, pedaling away, but there were already riders after him, just behind. The peloton largely of all the favourites. They didn't break at all, but once over the top of the climb, 6 riders did come together, and the second part of the Discovery plan was there in Vladimir Gusev.
Well, a tough rider. They built themselves up a big lead until they got to the Col de la Galibier. Then all of a sudden, a red and white streak came straight out of the main field, straight up to the breakaway group, which was still surviving, and said, I'm not taking any prisoners here this afternoon. Taking advantage of the slight tailwind, he went straight by them.
Third over the Liggett. He then went 6th over the Telegraph, caught everybody up and blew them all away with an incredible piece of pedaling. Popovic, he just couldn't hang on when that second kick came, and he let his man ride away to top the Col de Galibier alone and race for home.
In the group behind of the yellow jersey, though, they decided after a lot of work in the early kilometres to try and split this up. And Alejandro Valverde, the early race leader, the early race challenger, felt that this was a good move. But Cadel Evans also felt that this was an ideal situation. And the man put into difficulty behind them was Alexander Vinokourov. We all forgot about the long lone dance of Juan Mauricio Soler, who went over the top of the Galibier, the second highest peak of this year's Tour alone.
Then he started the descent of his life for 32 kilometres. 20 miles. Discovery got together. Popovic waited for Contador. They chased all the way into the streets of Briançon, where the chase behind was violent and they were gradually swept up.
Well, the interesting thing was there was a big split as well, because caught out in that big split was Levi Leipheimer, but all of a sudden Andreas Kloden sparked into life and pulled them all back together. But still, the climber from Colombia, Juan Mauricio Soler, survived.
The 1 kilometre kite, and that was Arroyo who cracked on the climb, as the others now desperate moments these, and indeed he found his climbing legs, and in the last 500 metres, with the group only 500 metres behind him, he'd held them off, and he got the win for Colombia and for Barlow World, a wild card team in the Tour de France. He'll also come up quite well in the overall. Tomorrow, of course, the Tour de France goes on. We turn our backs at Gap to the Pyrenees and race away due south, heading for Marseille. This isn't an easy race, but they'll be glad some of the big mountains are away.
I think all of the riders after the 3 days in the Alps, Phil, are going to be just a little bit happier. We've moved away from London, right the way down past the east of France. Now we're going to head down to the south. The riders move away from Tallard, which is just south of Gap, for a very flat, fast stage into Marseille, where they will find the Mediterranean Sea. That's what it looks like. There's a couple of 4th category climbs, a couple of 3rd category climbs down towards the end, but it should be fast.
Well, it's 229 kilometres, second longest stage of the race. We'll be with you live tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 on the West Coast. And don't forget Alan Bob, because we bring you a much bigger programme each evening in our prime-time coverage, and that can be seen every night, including tonight, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow, it's got all the makings of a breakaway succeeding now because the boys are under pressure. More information on our website at versus.com, and there we'll keep you up to date with all our blogs and all our information that we can find. Our clothing's by Giordana, and I must say that this has been some race today. Hope you've enjoyed it. I can't believe you haven't. For all of the team on Versus, from Briançon, goodbye for now. On this